I hear everything one way, even though they say I don't pay attention. I do everything the same as the way I did it last time. Still you see my life is pitiful, that I'm selfish and predictable. Though I have no voice to disagree, I don't wanna change. Never get wrong with regret, letting go that you pay flags. All the silence that keep me coming back. I'm the one that you hated, you know, the one you didn't wanna believe, the one that you hated. Take a look at it now. I'm the next you.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Dad Talk. We are back in the saddle again, Dwayne.
Back in the saddle. Isn't that an Aerosmith song?
Yes,
Back in the
dude.
saddle?
Aerosmith is what got me into rock and roll. Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, baby. Guys, if you got some voicemails, you want to leave them, 762-441-0281. We've had a lot go on this week, so we got no particular subject that we're going to be talking about, so I'll go through some of the voicemails that we've got lined up, but we're going to talk to you about a lot of different stuff that's going on. Dwayne, what a week it has been.
It's been a roller coaster. And, I wish it was for different reasons. I know we're going to get into the vigil and the events of the week and everything. Again, it was great seeing you and seeing everyone there. Wish it was under much different circumstances, but it's been a whirlwind.
You're not kidding, man. Guys, if you're watching this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Every time you do that, it helps us. If you would like to support the show, Dad Talk Today, no spaces, Venmo, Cash App, Patreon, Dad Talk Today. That's a monthly pledge that goes here to make us keep the show rolling. And so there's never enough. I can tell you this right now. I am opening back up. I would like to at least get $500 up to send to the family. That this is not something they asked for, but I know you showed up a little bit late, Dwayne. We had some technical difficulties the other night, but one of the hardest things that I saw during that candlelight vigil, and it was my first time seeing this, as much as I've reported on several of these murders, there was a 4-year-old son that got up there and they asked him to say some words about his dad. And he said, "I love and miss my daddy." And then that's when he broke. And it was like nothing else needed to be said. Here is a kid that is now growing up without his father, and it's at Christmas time, and it hit on a level that, guys, this is one of the hardest things to do. We talk about these cases, and I think that was what we was going to talk about, some of the behind the scenes of what it takes to raise awareness about this. It was just earlier this week, Dwayne, that we found out about Tyrone getting murdered. A couple of days later, we're out there with cameras and everything trying to raise awareness, and this is a time that people are grieving, and so it's not about the cameras. It's not about any of that. But at the same time, did you see anybody else out there covering the story, Dwayne?
No, actually, I got that 30-second spot on our local Fox affiliate. There may be an article or two those out there that, misreporting information, actually,
Yep.
which I know those details will come out later in due time. But no, largely it was another day. And yeah, when the film crew was out there, shooting on this, it was surreal.
It was.
I mean, it's something to see it on TV. It's something to hear about it anecdotally. And oh my gosh, that's sad. That's whatever. But to be there and to kind of feel the presence, the memorial they had set up at the location, and then the people. I'm going to tell you right now, that was a. I didn't know what to go in. I didn't know what to expect. Kind of going in. I mean, I'm a Fort Worth boy. Not used to being over long time. I try to stay, homebody. I don't like leaving my house. But this was just one that had to get out there and be there for. And I know the team is working on a lot of stuff there, but the people out there Well, I mean, you got to you got to talk to some of them.
Oh yeah, man. So that was, I got the camera out in front of this business where 10 feet behind me is where a father got murdered. And I guess you saw this part. They're like, Eric, we want you to say this into the camera.
Mhm.
And I'm sitting there like, hey, I'm Eric Carroll. I'm here in Arlington, Texas. And it feels like you're watching. We are in an area where a father got murdered and we're trying to raise awareness about it. That can be a scary thing.
Yeah.
It can be a very scary thing. Because it's already happened. To take the guesswork out of it. This is a place where somebody lost their life. And then after that, we went into a convenience store afterwards, and there was a bunch of dads in there, and they said, hey, what are you guys out there talking about? We was talking about the murder of the father out here, but, we're trying to raise awareness about fatherlessness. And they all started saying, hell, that's all of us. That's all of us. And then one of the gentlemen gets me over to the corner, and he says, man, he said, my best friend was having a problem with his baby's mom. And he knew that there was some conflict there. This was not long ago. And he asked me to ride to her house so he could get his kids. He said, when he got there, the boyfriend came out and shot him 2 times in the heart. And he said, I fell down and I got my friend in my arms and he died right there in my arms, man. He's like, this is happening all the time. And it was just crazy. And he was like, nobody knows what we are going through out here. And I think what has happened with the media, they have done their best to divide our people. They really have.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And I will be the first to tell you the issues that some of those guys are going through out there is completely different than a boy in Fort Worth, Texas, or Georgia, Columbus,
Mhm.
Georgia, right? At the same time, we all have our challenges. And then we sat there and talked about that. And he was like, people don't want to come and raise awareness about it. A lot of these guys might have gotten some charges or something in the past because of the culture that was out there. And then that follows them the rest of their life. People will say, just, go to school, work a job and get out of there. He's like, man, people won't touch you if you got something on your record. That's real, man.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's like at the same time, I turned around and I told him, I said, look, I'm from small town, Georgia. And that doesn't sound like you'd have much problem, but that's where the good old boy system happens. That's where they all know each other and the money goes into each other's pockets. And I was like, it's corruption. It's different, but it's the same. The thing here is we have a fatherless issue facing this whole entire world right now. I'm not going to say nation, especially this nation, but it's facing this whole entire world. And the biggest common denominator we have is that men have been a target. And we've got to start bridging that gap that they have used against us, Dwayne.
Yeah.
And it's there. It's there. I mean, that is just the elephant in the room. I've got some ideas, man. I really do. And I want to be able to execute on them. But hearing, while I'm at the vigil, guys, and I'll just give you, man, I left 2:00 in the morning. When was it? Thursday morning. Got to Dallas, went and did all this filming, got in bed at 1 in the morning, got back up at 4 and had to fly home. Dude, as soon as I got home yesterday, it was like 11 o'clock. I sat down. As soon as I sat down, just trying to be like, okay, what do I got to work on next? The next thing I know, I'm waking up at like 8 or 9 o'clock last night. My wife's bringing me something to eat, and I ate. And as soon as I went to talk to her, I woke up at 8 o'clock this morning. I was like, wow, I can't do this like I used to. But
not a young man.
These stories, man, like I understand this family is grieving, right? And they need that time to grieve. And I'll tell you, as they told me, there is so much misinformation on that case right now. So as a community that wants to love and that wants to support, we're going to hold off because there will be a time for that story to get out. And I want it to get out there by the people that know it the best. Right. Because when all this misinformation gets out there and you're not finding out what the details were, it really hurts the story. And that is a story that needs to be told. So I would say, I can tell you this, there was a father that lost his life and it was the mother that was the shooter. That much we know for sure. And it's crazy. There's these kids that are no longer with a parent.
Yeah. Four little ones that are going to grow up without a dad. It was something, you had mentioned, you were down there. Boy from Georgia, guy from Fort Worth. We had, other parts of the film. We had a gentleman from Washington. Well, he was all over the place, but Washington. I mean, this, we're trying to get the word out, but going into that convenience store and sitting down and talking with these guys, and it's funny because the media, the news, either they want us to bear it, they want to separate us, and all that stuff. And it's funny, the irony is that all occurred off of Division Street. It's the job is to stop the division and bring us all together and move this thing forward.
That was the name of the street.
Yeah, it was Division and Felder was where the murder occurred.
Oh my God.
And when I was driving out there, I was like, Division Street.
Well, I mean, which brings up next question. Mr. Mike Whitney said, not only is the media missing, but where's all the groups and organizations that preach equality and nonviolence? Dude, it almost feels like you got to say, you can be the spotlight, you can be the organizer or whatever, just to get out here and speak. I mean, I will tell you, though, that was very surreal. There was a lot of parents out there, and it was our group mixed with the family. And let me tell you some of the challenges that goes down trying to put this stuff together. I said I was going to get the camera crew, John Mass' father, Chad's
Robert.
wife, and everybody was there. We was told at 7:00 at this high school that was where we needed to be. We had nothing to do with picking a location. Dwayne had actually got a park the day before, and they said, nah, we want to do it at the high school. And that's not due to the family. I guess there was somebody that was taking care of that. We get there at 4:30. Security guard comes out and is like, what are you guys doing? He's like, we're here for the vigil. She was like, let me call the principal. So she calls the principal, and they was like, no way.
Oh, hell no.
But that sounds crazy because they're like, why wouldn't you want to memorialize somebody, right? They said, look, we had just had a candlelight vigil here, very similar, not long ago. And in the middle of that vigil, the school got shot up. And it was like, so we're not doing that here. It was like, you can do it off of the property.
Right.
So that was what we planned to do. But here we are on this dark corner on the property in the middle of the grass with all these people showing up. So we lit some candles and kind of did it around the outside. And then as soon as the event started, for some reason, they came and got me and was like, hey, you can't do this here. I was like, look, I didn't have nothing to do with booking this school. I don't know what's going on here. I'm from Georgia. At that point in time, I was calling it Seguin High School. I even talked to the police department. They were very nice. I was glad we was doing, but they was like, sir, we don't have a Seguin. We don't have a Seguin. I was like, I'm looking at it right here. And then eventually it was, oh, you mean Seguin. I was like, okay.
Potato.
In the middle of this, we have to stop, pack everything up, and go to a park. And I know there was probably some frustrations like, what in the world is going on here? But once the memory started coming out about this dad, that was where, I mean, it was just powerful, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, we just had this one. The last thing I want to hear of is another one going to happen. But Dwayne, we know what happened in this community. And these are going to be some of the hardest cases to report on. While I'm there, I have another father that shows up in the middle of this telling me, Eric, I need your help raising awareness. My ex killed my 16-month-old child. And it's just, dude. And then I'm hearing of another case where this father got killed. And it's just more and more. And it's like, where in the world is our media? Where in the world are these politicians that claim to care about these people? Where is equality? There isn't any, Dwayne.
No.
There's not. And all I know to do right now, unfortunately, when you're on the screen and you're talking about these, you're trying to raise awareness, people think that you have all the answers. We don't have the answers. All we know to do is to put a spotlight on it.
Right.
And I believe that's a part of the answer. There's other people that need to pick up and take it there, but there is no one person that is going to fix the family law courts. None. It's going to take all of our guys coming together. Right.
Yeah.
All I know to do is put a spotlight on it and let them know, like, when these issues go down, we're going to be there. We're going to be reporting on it, and you're not going to sweep this under the rug. And then it is upon our community to make sure they're like, sharing, and subscribing, like we tell you on every show, to get that information out there. Because if you don't do it, it's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. It'll get swept on the rug for the next best interest story or whatever. Yeah. And when it's talked about, we need to lock arms. That's everybody. That's, the person that, they like, share, subscribe. It's up to, the hundreds of people calling the legislators saying, we're not going to do this anymore. This needs to change. Or, you know, all those different pieces in the legislator or the judge or the lawyer that says, you know what, I know we've been doing it this way. We're going to stop doing it. It's going to take all of us to make that happen, because as long as it's only, you know, an echo chamber or a few people that are talking about it, they think we don't have to do it. I mean, everyone knows what's going on and why. I mean, we all know.
Crazy thing is, if you ask people what needs to be done for this movement, everybody's going to have a different view of what needs to be done. And the person that's doing this over here, this ain't going to work. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That yeah.
Man, that's
so much.
I guess that just came straight out. But I mean, it's the truth. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. I mean, we're all Indians. I got Native American blood. I'm okay with being an Indian. I like being in the background. I really do. Unfortunately, we've got to step up to the plate. There was a lot of people there, and it was a beautiful thing to see tribute, but it was one of the most hurtful things to know you got to report on cases like this. If I never had to talk about another one of those cases, Dwayne, it couldn't come soon enough.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those I wish I never had that experience. You know, wishing it didn't happen. Yeah, I mean, the community that was there. Again, I got there a little bit late. I'm not going to mention. Eric. I mean, but just you don't get enough of this credit. But you bought pizza for everyone, food and drinks for everyone that night. So at least they had to worry about that meal. Unfortunately, we had some timing issues with the pizza company to get that out, which was, you know, well, why we were late getting there. But again, everyone, you know, that was there, you know, got fed and all that. But the community there was so, I mean, they were so nice. I mean,
They were.
We had the tragedy, but they were so nice. I mean, we gave out more hugs that night than I mean, it was a hug fest.
Well, one thing I did hear a few times, because I know it had to be different, and it's like, how are all these people showing up now? Like, you guys didn't know Tyrone. And that was the thing. We didn't have to.
Yeah.
We knew him because of what he was going through. Okay. We see this all the time. And he is another number in this system. But to us, it's his story. He was a brother. He was a father.
Yeah.
And we were there to honor that. No father should have to go through this. And I don't care who it is. I mean, we're there to bring that message out as much as we can. Because here's the thing. A lot of times when these stories happen, Dwayne, everybody's up in arms and they want to speak out. We need you here sounding the alarms before that happens. Right. And once you know what is going on, you can't stop then, guys. We should have more people showing up on days like today and every other day of the week than when the murders are happening.
Right.
That's just it. And I mean, that's something I've realized, whether it was John Mast, Chad Reed, Justin Goolsby, when you report on those cases, everybody comes. And I think the sad thing about it is there is people, they think this is a story, like, oh, let me get the story. Let me get the scoop. And that's all it is a headline.
Right.
But where are they when that story's fizzled out?
Right.
I'll tell you, like John Mast, man, that case has been going for 2 years.
Yeah.
You hear me talk about it every show. That's not like something that's breaking the headlines right now, but we've got to keep that story alive because, guys, as of this moment, there's been no justice. No. We sit there and speak to the wife of Chad Reed the other night. His killer got away. Yeah. Guys, not even a smack on the hand. He got out scotch-free. And there might be some people that said, well, Chad needed to step back. And I will tell you, if you guys get in an altercation like that, somebody brings out a gun or does something like that, leave. Yeah. Okay. But that is so easy for people on the outside to say when they haven't been there experiencing this dad. Every time he shows up, his kid's not there. He's being blocked. And then as he shows up, now he's got this boyfriend that's having an affair that's not even supposed to be there, telling him that he needs to leave and that his kid ain't here. Get out of there. It was not the boyfriend's job in the first place. And so Chad was mad. And then next thing you know, Chad's dead on the ground, dude. And the person that shot, I mean, nothing. There was no repercussions at all, guys. Justin Goolsby's case, we haven't seen nothing out of that neither. So we are seeing these dads lose their lives. And there's even some of them where the killers, Because I'll be honest with you. There's other parts of these cases too where we know who pulled the trigger, but
Mhm.
there was more people involved,
Right.
and they get out scotch-free too.
Yeah.
So, I
John
mean,
Mass,
I don't
yeah.
want to dip too far into that, but you guys can use your imagination, and it's just sad because now these kids are growing up with a parent that's got that type of malice in their heart, and it's just so sad.
Well,
Go ahead, Dwayne.
well, I mean, the malice and all that stuff. I don't know why it hit me, but Robert Mast, the coolest guy you will ever meet.
I love
I mean, I would have never met him had all of these things happened. And I wish I would have never met him. It's that, but got a chance to visit with it was John's dad, and he is the nicest guy. And I heard, he talked, we talked about all kinds of things, but, he talked about how he forgave the person that murdered his son.
Is that not powerful?
I mean, I want to say I'm at that, as I mean, and when you look into his eyes,
He means it.
he means
He
it.
means it, and that's what I've told people, and there might be people that hear that, and they just don't understand it. Me and Dwayne would not be able to explain it the way
Can't.
he can because he means that in his heart.
Oh,
He was
yeah.
like, "You have to forgive your enemies." He was like, "Because God loves them too." And when you hear him explain that, it's like, "Oh my God." And that's why I wanted him there. And let me tell you, that was a sacrifice for that guy.
Huge.
Idaho. He had family that came in that day, and he originally wrote me back and was like, "Eric, I'm not going to be able to make it. I got family in town." And then the next text message is, "Eric, what time are you getting to Texas?" And I knew now it's playing on them. He had his heart tugging at him. And, I told him several times, like, "Robert, it's last minute. You don't have to make it." But he wanted to be there because 2 years ago, it was his family that
Right.
was going through that. Right. And the other part about this, guys, the challenges that come at this community when doing something like this is I want you to understand nobody's done this before. And there is no blueprint to know
No.
the right way or the wrong way or what to do. And I know there's going to be times where people will be like, "Well, I just can't show up to this last minute." Every one of these are going to be last minute. It's not like you're going to be able to say, "Okay, 2 months from now, there's going to be a murder at this place.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and make plans for everybody to be there. Everybody gets to speak. Let's put your logo on the flyer." And dude, we ain't got time for that. When these happened, when John Mass got killed, Dwayne, next day we were on a plane.
Right.
We were set to be shooting a documentary in Michigan on Bryan Adams, and we had to just completely flip-flop and take off because the other side of that is, as hard as it is to have cameras rolling in that time, there is emotions and the feelings, the pain that is going to be coming out. You can't manufacture that. And people need to know what that's doing to these parents and the people that are involved. There's people that are losing a father. They're losing a son. They're losing a brother. They're losing a nephew, a cousin,
Right.
friend. And it's real. It's real. It's not about stories. Let's get the solution. And yes, Mike Whitney said, "'Tis the season." The sad thing is, guys, case in hand, Michael Watkinson said, "Good morning, Eric. Just had my Christmas visit canceled and more false accusations and another DV report filed without any basis or proof. Unfortunately, right now, if somebody wants to make an accusation at you last minute because you're about to get the kids, they can do it. And because guess what? Most of the offices and the courts are going to be closed. There's nothing you can do until after the holidays." Somebody said they didn't hear us talking about male suicide on the podcast. I saw that earlier, and I was like, "You ain't listening to the show."
Yeah.
There's so many people that make these assumptions, and it's like you're not listening to the contents of the show. But I was having this conversation with you not long ago, Dwayne, and I learned this from Mr. Mike Whitney myself. You would think like suicide would be the hardest or the biggest around the holidays. You know when the biggest spike is?
I don't want to take it away from you. January. Yeah.
January. Because they held out through the holidays.
Right.
Right.
then
Thinking that there was
just-
going to be hope. And then once that new year starts, it's like,
Well, why do people commit suicide? They have no hope.
they have no hope.
And then when they get their children ripped away from them again for the holidays, and they're just hoping maybe there's a chance, maybe there's a chance. Everyone tells them. And then unfortunately, after the holidays, people pull away and they go back to their own lives, leaving that man or woman alone by themselves. And they can't cope. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to remember Mike's numbers. It's not one. It's more than one a day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I want to. I
Can't
don't
remember
want
the
to put it
numbers.
out there because we'll get the fact
Well.
checkers on. There's numerous in our veterans
Some of the veterans,
suicide.
yeah.
Holy crap, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so much going on, guys, and we need to be sounding the alarms about it. We're almost at the 30-minute mark, though, and I'm wanting to get to some of your voicemails. I told you we was going to play those, but before I do, we're not going to be live tonight, but I recorded a show right before I took off to Dallas. I'm telling you, and I'm not just saying this, it was probably one of the most powerful shows in the history of Dad Talk, because I was talking to a child, okay? She's over 20 years old, but to me, it's weird. Now I can look at somebody that's in their 20s and say it looks like I'm talking to a child, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I got a daughter that's 18. So it felt like talking to her, but this girl went 20 years thinking that her dad didn't want her. He left when she was 2. She was told all these memories about how he abandoned, abused, and did all these things to her. And she carried that hatred her whole life. Well, she had a brother. It was even worse for him because he was told that all these DV things like you guys talk about, the false allegations, happened to him. And he had nobody there to challenge it and say, that didn't happen. It didn't happen. But then there was a stepdad that came in the picture at that point in time. He was not Mighty Mouse. He was a good guy. But he did have OCD, bipolar, schizophrenia, and all these different conditions. Well, the mom was bipolar herself. The difference in this was there was mental health issues on both sides, okay? But on the stepdad's side, as many of the issues that he had, he was cognizant. And he was one of the ones would be like, am I doing this okay? Am I wrong? So he was easy to rope, right?
Right.
I don't want to get too much more in it. I'll just tell you guys this. After, she turned 20 years old, she got a Facebook message from her dad. And he wants the truth to come out. And as I'm talking to this girl, because she's still processing these feelings, Dwayne, there's a loyalty conflict there.
Yeah.
It was like, do I challenge all that I once knew? And I will say, I was proud of my interview skills on this because I went really strategic into it. And before I'd get on to myself, I wanted to paint the picture for her to show her where the common denominator was.
Right.
She never knew her mom's family because her mom said that family's crazy.
Yep.
She didn't know her stepdad's family. And then once stepdad and her broke up, they didn't want to talk to her no more because they didn't want mom around.
Right.
She didn't know her bio dad's family. And now those grandparents are dead. And it was one of those, it's like, you think all of these families are bad? Because it seems like all the issues with those 3 families start with one person.
Connect the dots.
Bio dad, he's been with somebody for 20 years now, had a very healthy relationship.
Yeah.
And so it starts painting the picture and setting it up, but seeing the consequences. I'm going to tell you, this is one of the brightest, nicest young ladies, especially with everything she's been through. Oh my God, dude, this would have took out many other people. So I say this is one of the most important shows out there. And I guarantee you, this girl is going to be a major player in this movement if she keeps speaking up. She really will. She's already went viral on TikTok and a lot of other places. And that's how I caught her. Somebody had tagged me in one of the videos and I was watching it. The crazy thing is there's 2 dads in the story. Talk about dad talk. Okay. She talks to both of the dads. Don't talk to the mom anymore because she had to put boundaries in there.
Right. Oh, yeah.
The stepdad was actually a pretty good guy. We're not talking about a Mighty Mouse here, but he believed everything that mom had said about the bio dad. They have now came together and done stuff together. Wow. So that should give you enough of a picture, guys. It's going to be a good interview. Okay. And I wanted to make sure I got back and told you about it because here is a child telling their story, not a parent. Let people see what it did to her. And it was scary for me because you're wondering, is that what my child is thinking? Right?
Yeah, this interview tonight, for the parents out there, the ones that are not going to have them for the holidays or just all the things. And I'm hoping that the alienator and the one that's causing all this strife gets a chance to tune in and watch this, because they're going to be talking to, quote, their child tonight. They're going to get to see the damage. Thankfully, she was able to overcome that, but it's a life. She's going to have scars her entire life. It's just, what she does to it, or with that information, and the healing and all that stuff. But it's also good, though, that you're able to find that and share that story to get it out there. Yet another reason to like, share, subscribe, because had it not gone viral, you probably wouldn't have known. We need to get more of these stories out.
And such a very well-spoken voice. One of the hardest moments, I will dip back into it a little bit, Dwayne, is after she was telling me about all these things, her mom did, and she was like, I look like my mom. People tell me that all the time, that I look like her. And I was like, oh. And so I turned around in that later interview, because I do think that Dad needs to talk to her some more. He didn't do what Mom did and said, here's everything that happened. He gave her enough of it. And I said, Dad, you need to talk to her. And I said, let me tell you, you got a beautiful young girl sitting right here, and you have an opportunity. There's dads on this show right here that would give everything to have that opportunity, just to be able to talk and to say, here's my side. I want to build a relationship with you and get that second chance, because many of them don't get it. But to hear her saying, like, I look like my mom. And then, because how many times, like, guys, be careful with that when you get mad at your kids, or maybe they're mirroring some of the stuff that the toxic parents do, and you're like, you act just like them. Man, I mean, I get it. A lot of us probably have said it. Yeah. I'm guilty too. And real. I realize that is the worst thing.
It is.
You cannot tell that to that kid. You're making them reap the consequences of your choices, right? Because you got with that person, and your job is to love them. I'm not saying take up for them when they do something wrong, by no means, but you show them the opposite.
Right.
And in these cases where there is that toxic person, you actually want to be looking at your kid, the one that you're saying you love, and say, you're just like them. Well, I know you don't like them. So do you not like me? There's other things that happen with that, right?
It's hitting the feels right now. Yeah. I mean, I've done it. I've gotten mad and, seen the behaviors, and again, you don't want the behaviors, but you're saying it to, like, don't, be like them. But then, the kid, from their perspective, they're looking at it as, wait, you think I'm just like Mom or Dad that you hate or don't like? Wow. What does that make me? And the thing that they're going to feel the rest of their lives. Yeah.
You can't do that, guys. And I think, we're kind of hitting a very important topic that's not talked about enough, Dwayne. We make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
And the more that you can admit those mistakes, I think the more you become a better parent, right? Unfortunately, when you're going against one of these parents that do some of these things, and I even asked her that, I was like, can your mom admit anything that she did wrong? She's like, no. That parent can't admit anything. We can. But here's the thing. None of us are perfect. When you go through a high conflict divorce or breakup, and there's kids and money and your career and your reputation on the line, you have a lot of emotion. Yeah. And sometimes you're going to do things that you're going to look back on later and say, man, I wish I didn't do that. But you were in survival mode, right? And again, nobody had the blueprint. This is how you get through it. Watch out for this. Most of the time we end up here after we're in it. So you're going to make those mistakes. But as long as you can recognize them and say, I made a mistake, I won't do that again, you're on the right track, Dad.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't beat yourself up on that. Be cognizant and don't do it again. Don't beat yourself up on that. And I think the more that we can come in here and show vulnerability and say, this is my part in it, right? That's when we can make progress. So we're going to get on these. And somebody asked, is this pre-recorded? No, it is not. We're live. We are live. I mean, Tom Buddy Fitzpatrick, he just got in here. We have more pressure on us, so we take more chances and make mistakes. That's right. You're doing everything you can. Again, you're in survival mode. But if you guys got some questions, concerns, comments, put them down there. The interview for later on tonight, was it pre-recorded? Yes, it was. Because here is a girl that is now going through all these emotions. And I wanted to make sure that she didn't feel pressured or like, ooh, did I say something about my parent that I didn't want to say? Right. And I told her, at any point in time, you say, I need to take that back. Just tell me and we'll take care of it. I can honestly tell you guys this, though. We didn't even have one of those moments.
Hmm.
So it is going to play just like it was recorded, and you want to see that one. Enough said with that. Guys, like, share, subscribe. Give us the voicemail, 762-441-0281. Yeah, the stars. I think
Stars.
Facebook has gave
Patreon.
some of you guys some free stars that you can use, and that's just ways that you can support the podcast. So if you see some stars down there, throw them our way.
Well, I mean, you dropped everything, flew out here. That wasn't free. You're helping a number of folks out in Christmas. Hopefully, I think we get maybe a picture or two back on that. Your interview with the young lady there, that was a couple hours. Of course, all the technology and the time. Yeah, I mean, it needs to be said a little bit more, so helping support to get these stories out. I mean, again, it's pennies against billions. And, I think Eric has demonstrated over the years here that he can take those pennies and use them to beat the guys with the billions, at least get in the arena with them. It's just getting people to, help out where they can. Again, I know there are people that are completely unable to help. That's the like, share, subscribe. I mean, you can do those things, talking about it. Give $1 a month. I mean, these aren't huge amounts, but again, it helps keep content like this moving forward and dare I say expanding, because again, you've got a lot of ideas. I know we want to get to the voicemails, but you've got plans and goals to take this.
I used to say, give me $1 million and I'll end family law. That was before inflation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Build back better.
$5 to $10 million. And I think we could bring this industry to its knees. Billions of dollars in that industry. I think we could bring it to its knees, or at least make them say, holy crap, we're in the corner now. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's going to take. Unfortunately, most of the time politicians don't care unless they're getting money or votes. Right. So we've got to develop that strategy to say, you can't just turn a blind eye to us anymore. You can't sweep us under the rug. And unfortunately, you don't get the grants or the big time media and stuff behind it, but we don't need it, Dwayne. We just need the resources so that we can create it, because we've got the people here. It just needs to be reported on. Unfortunately, most of us are guys going through this, and we're doing what we can. But I love these guys. And I will tell you, I am going to go ahead and go out on a leap of faith. It'll either be next month or February. I'm already shooting a mini series. We've got another video that's being produced right now from the trip that was in Texas. And this isn't us just showing up with the camera, guys. We got top quality for this movement to show them what we can do. But I'm going to start working on producing a film about false allegations, domestic violence, sexual allegations, the Me Too movement, and how it has played into this with the cancel culture. And there is going to be ways that the audience can get involved. I am going to be looking for like the most hardcore stories that we can. Okay. So that's going to have a lot going on to it. But if you're one of these parents that's been through false allegations or whatever, maybe we do some crowdfunding. We can get your name or like a line to your kid or something like that at the end of the film, some way. But I can tell you, I've had 6 different script writers that turned something very similar down. They was like, we ain't touching this. And that just showed me like, we got to do it.
Yeah.
We got to do it. I'll get it started. Okay. But it's going to be up to you guys to help us get what is needed to finish. And I promise you, when this comes out, it is going to be top notch. I think we did a pretty good job with I Stand With John, and that was just me and Robert with what cameras we had doing what we could. We've got some amazing opportunities. Dwayne got to see it for himself the other day.
Yeah.
We got some amazing opportunities. It's just getting what's needed to get there. I mean, it's hard because we're sitting at the starting line saying we could be over there, but we don't have the money for it. The opportunities are there, guys. I promise you.
Yeah, on the production aspect alone, I mean, there were some big names. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about some of the big names that are in that location shooting and things, but people watch them on various channels every night, and just all these other things. And I mean, the crew, I got to meet the crew. They are awesome. I'd love to talk about Don and anyway, all the names that were there. But again, these they have a business to run and they have to get paid. I mean, I'm sure trying to swing discounts, but it takes money to do that.
Dude, you're talking about a 50,000 square foot studio,
It
high
was
dollar,
nice.
millions of dollars in camera. Then you got to have several different video guys. You got to have makeup. You got to have lighting. You got to have all these different aspects.
Mhm.
And that costs money. That costs money. And I can tell you, we can do it for about a quarter of what it would cost a regular studio. And that's because there was a donor that got the camera crew out there the other day,
Yeah.
and they matched that 50%. They said, we're giving you a 50% discount. We're going to throw in our part too, because they want to see this movement take off.
Yeah.
And
Oh, they
my
believe
next
it.
big
They're
thing,
behind it.
they are behind it 100%. And in the beginning, when we showed up there, they didn't know about it. And it was just blowing their mind.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, because at that point in time, we was shooting on the Henderson doc. Well, the next day, Corbin died.
Yeah.
And it was just, you know, we had all the family in there talking about this child that was going through cancer that they weren't able to see, and seeing those emotions, the tears going. And then the next day, we get the news that he passed away.
Oh.
And it's just, it's hard, man. And one of the worst things I've ever had to do with Dad Talk is stand in front of one of these parents or these family members that lost somebody they love and say, tell me about it. What was going through your head, and knowing what's going to be coming out, because you got to take them to that place of pain.
Mhm.
And I feel like an asshole, but the stories got to come out. And I will tell you, I've seen parts where they'll do it and they get really emotional. It was one of the best things that ever happened to them because they needed to get it out. Right? These are people that was holding it in. David Henderson's dad tore me up, man. This is a very reserved guy. Doesn't seem like much of a speaker, and just kind of stays in the background. And when we started asking him about his grandson, dude, when that comes out, it is going to hit. I mean, hit.
Well, I mean, that's in my backyard where that happened. Had you not, you know, broke and worked on that story, and again, the work in the future, we would have never known about the corrupt court system. I mean, we've heard about it, but we would have known about that specific instance or other instances. But which is what they want. They don't want people to see what they're doing. It's going to take guys like you to like, you know, pull that back and say, look, this is the reality of your decisions, the $60 billion a year industry, all the kickbacks, all the legislators doing everything. This is what's happening. And it takes time and money.
It does. And at the same time, realizing there are kids out there that this is happening to for real. And the same people are taking away the voice from these other parents. Thank you to Prequel.
Cool.
He's done that a few times on here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Deborah said, I tuned in late. Are you still taking donations for dads or for the Darling family? Yes. We had to cut the Adopt a Dad program because there were so many dads that was reaching out. And I'll be honest, the funds was very little. I forget how many families we ended up sponsoring. And that was with about $2,000 that got raised. So you still got to ship it and everything. But one of the best things that happened in this past week, Dwayne, was there was a family. They got a little Christmas tree and we sent them decorations and stuff. And as soon as it got there, the kids,
those kids,
go
man.
look on Dad Talk, they were decorating that tree, looking back, smiling ear to ear, man. And no, it wasn't a huge Christmas tree, but
yeah,
look at that huge smile. It was, we've got
That's what it's
something.
about.
Those kids wouldn't have had nothing. And it's about making an impact where you can. Unfortunately, if you're an empathetic person, you'll feel like you never do enough, you know? And I'm telling you, the family did not ask for that, but I want to get something for those kids.
Yeah.
Because they don't have parents to buy them Christmas gifts. And I can imagine what that's got to be like. Maybe a PS5 or something like that we could get out there to them kids just to help them get through this time. I don't know. I don't know what young man wouldn't want a PS5, you know? But something like that we can get out there to that community. I'd love to do that. So if you guys would like to help out, again, down there at the bottom, support now. Dad Talk Today, no spaces. I mean, we recovered half of what it cost just from an airplane ticket to go out there. and then pizzas and everything else that we was doing. Why did you have to get pizzas? One, pizza's amazing. But it was just one of those things. I wanted to make sure that the community, our community, you've got no reason not to show up. Don't say, oh, I got to go eat, or I'm just getting off of work. Like, we've got something here for you. We're even wanting to feed you.
Yeah.
We want you to come and be a part of this. And we want to make sure that people are seeing the love from our community. For so long, we've been looked at as a bunch of angry, deadbeat, stereotype dads. And here we are flying across the country, talking about cases that we didn't even know about, feeding their communities and raising awareness. If that don't fight back at the narrative, guys, I don't know what does. And it's not about fighting back at the narrative. We want to help other dads.
Yeah.
We want to help other dads. I didn't even want to leave there the other day, Dwayne, as I'm sitting there in that convenience store. And I'm talking to these parents saying, this was my story. This was my story. This was my story. I'm giving everybody my email and saying, reach out to me. If we got to, we'll come back. We'll throw the cameras on. Back in my head, I'm sitting there saying, how are you going to pull that off? I don't know, but we've always pulled it off. We've always pulled it off. So
we've got to get these stories out there. We've got to, do that. But again, yeah, trying to think of it was like a number of dads. When they're talking with you, they had never heard of Dad Talk Today. They had never heard. They just, I don't want to say accepted the deal they got. I mean, they were talking about how they didn't have their dads in their life, and they're trying to figure stuff out and all that, and they didn't know about it. Well, if it get liked, shared, people subscribed, got that information out, they would go, "Oh yeah, I'm in this too." And maybe, just maybe, they start seeing other parents that are going through this. They're not going to go down a certain path.
oh, dude.
Maybe when people hear that powerful testimony from Tyrone's mom, which if you haven't watched it yet, watch it.
I got it coming out. I mean, we've got the video being produced, and I'll release it for you guys as soon as we get it. But I'm going to tell you, man, she just straight up, I don't want to be here. I do not want to be here. I don't want to stand with Tyrone. I don't want to do this. I just want my son. Those kids just wanted their daddy. Nobody wanted to be there doing a vigil. Nobody wanted to be there doing any of that. Any of it. Yeah. And it sucks, man. It sucks seeing that up close and personal, guys. I go back, I've talked about it on the show a few times. When John died, the family wanted us there to document because they had been fighting for John for so long and thought nobody had heard it. But we are literally in the back room, surrounded by caskets in a funeral home with the camera rolling, with a family that's in the middle of their grief, with John's body in the next room with people viewing. And that's what it took to put a spotlight on what's going on in this community. Holy crap, guys. I mean,
they're wanting to make sure what happened to their son not happen to anybody else. I mean, again, that period of time when your son's casket sitting right there, that's precious time, because that, again, they're going to bury or cremate, and but they chose to take that short window and spend that saying, we've got to get this story out. I'm reminded of Emmett Till. Again, different circumstances, different time. This was the young man. This is 40, 50 years ago. He had come down. He was from, I believe, Chicago, came down, and he was murdered. And they shipped his body back. The police, everyone told the mom, do not, make it closed casket. Because what? And if you haven't watched or read about the Emmett Till story, you need to do that. But the mother said, no, I want the world to see what happened. And that made a huge impact on the issues of that day. I know I have to be kind of sensitive since we're on a number of different formats, but it made huge issues. I mean, people coming out and saying, but then having the people there that are going to record that and make sure it gets out and make sure it gets shared and things like that. That's what it's going to take.
Dude, and it goes so much deeper, guys. I mean, it goes so much deeper. I had a dad, I guess he was probably got to the point where he was like, I just got to step away from it. But his little girl died. And there was such commotion going on. I guess she had died from cancer, that mom called the cops on his whole family at the funeral home. And here's cops lined up around the casket, blocking this family from seeing this youngin'. Dude,
Yeah.
The Henderson case. There was 2 different funerals.
Yeah. We had to go to 2.
There
Yeah.
was 2 different funerals, guys.
It was they had 2 different pastors giving the eulogy at the gravesite. They had it. The level of that, I mean, it shouldn't not have, especially at that time. I'll tell you right now. I mean, there was the one. I don't want to say it wasn't a good. I mean, none of it was a good memory, but I still remember the one boy putting a Xbox controller on the casket as they were getting ready to lower it down, and you know, the kid had a lot of good friends and everything. But yeah, I mean, seeing the 2 pastors, and there was still animosity there on you know, with what was going on, and hearing whispers, and that is it's the wrong time for
Dude,
that. But anyway,
we got to get it in a different.
yeah,
direction.
we were 50
We got
minutes
to
in.
get it in a different direction. I mean, mentioning the video games, there's people that thinks that video games are toxic, and I do believe there's people that get addicted to them and waste their life with it. But at the same time, think about that. Some of my best friends, Dwayne, were gamers.
Yeah.
That you talk to every day. You feel like, I can tell them anything I need to tell.
Yeah.
We're going to sit here and we're going to build community because we're going to build that fort on Fortnite together. And you ain't coming through.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Don't tell me that video games can't be healthy.
Right. They
Moderation. But I think that it's amazing. And a lot of these gentlemen, that's how they're communicating with each other nowadays.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. Discords and of course the gaming. Yeah. I mean, they've had one where a guy was he had cancer, and people that he had never met across the world came in to be with him. You know, and there's so many stories, or you know, those times that happen. But no, video games. I grew up on them. I turned out,
Favorite video game of all time?
Oh boy. Oh, Oregon Trail. No, arcade. I'm old.
I loved hunting on Oregon Trail. That was my favorite thing. It's like if I got stopped, we're going hunting.
Yeah. We're going to go rethink the whole thing.
What was all the different the scenarios that you could die from again?
Oh, distemper.
Estonia?
Jeff just jumped in with Pong. Yeah, snowman, the frostbite, the water. I mean, there was all these different things. But you're mentioning, and it's funny.
That tells how old he is.
Yeah. But it's funny you mentioned. I tell my wife this all the time. Like, I have a number of a cabinet where I can play a lot of different games. But when I play Kangaroo, Kangaroo, I remember my dad taking me hunting when I was a kid, because we went to this one restaurant. We had, came away from the trailer and everything, and he's like, let's, get dinner on our last night or whatever. And I'd play Kangaroo, and I remember that. And then Popeye. I remember, my dad, we were at another place, and they had a machine in the back. It was Popeye. And I remember playing Popeye and Donkey Kong. And I have embarrassing stories about some video games I played that I've sworn my wife to secrecy on as a young man playing certain games.
What happened to Popeye, man? He was one of my favorite.
Oh, yeah, I guess it went out as a strong dad that, did the right thing.
I guess, man. That brings me, I love documentaries. And I think it instead of films, it kind of shows you a different aspect, like that we're not going to be able to do on a podcast. When you're on location, you can see where it happened. You can see the emotions of these people, and it's one-on-one. And there's an art to doing these documentaries. There's a video game documentary that I think is one of the best documentaries made of all time. Have you ever seen The King of Kong?
The King of Kong, yeah.
Just full of quarters. I have watched that so many times. And for anybody that hadn't seen it, there was a guy that set a record on Donkey Kong back in the 80s. And you want to talk about egos. I guess you could compare that to a lot of what we have in the movement right now, right?
Yeah.
All these people wanted the top score. They wanted to be the King of Kong. And here comes this guy by, and out in the middle of nowhere, he starts setting the world record. And they say that the record's got to be set in person. Well, the guy that held the previous world record, for some reason, had one on a videotape, and they accepted his. And so he broke that guy's record right as soon as this guy had set a new world record. Craziest thing ever seen. I won't get too far into it, but yes, I want to answer though. I can tell you my favorite video game of all time right now. Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Okay. All right.
PS1.
PS1.
When people hear Castlevania, you're like, Castlevania. No, that was an amazing. It was an RPG.
Yeah.
And you played as Alucard. Talk about dad talk. Alucard is Dracula spelled backwards.
Right.
And it was
It's,
his son
Palinome.
that comes back to take on his dad. Right. And dude, that was one of the best video games. And you know what? I beat it. I sat on it for like a year. And then I found out I hadn't even played half the game.
Okay.
Because if you beat it right, the castle then turns upside down, gets a spell put on it, and you have to replay the game all over with new challenges.
Wow. Okay.
It has 4 different endings. Have you ever played that game?
I'm trying to. I've played a lot of games. I'm trying to remember that one. I mean, I remember playing Castlevania and a few of the other iterations of it, but I'm trying to remember that one. Again, my cabinet has 25,000 games on it, so trying to go through.
You got to get on that one, dude.
Okay.
You can turn into a wolf, a bat, a mist, and there's just all these secret challenges and stuff. It's even more, to me, challenging than like Zelda. It was more different than any other Vania that they made. But yeah, we'll get stuck in that video game talk because I do like it, and I haven't been on my video games in a while because of Dad Talk.
Yeah,
I might just crank that out today.
There you go. I'm planning on
jumping
jumping
any gamers. Maybe we could set up a gaming thing with some of the
They
Dad
have
Talk guys.
Discord. I've had a number of people reach out, interested in this, and then doing something with Discord. But yeah, you can do gaming. Have like a poker night. There's like different things that could be done. But yeah, getting some of the gamers on here, that's a community right there. We have a lot to talk about.
Hell yeah. All right, guys, we're going to get on to these voicemails. Give us a call, 762-441-0281. Like, share, subscribe. All right, here comes the first caller.
Hi there, Eric. Thanks for doing what you do. My name is Saul McCartney. I've commented on Dad Talk a number of times and been watching your streams. I love what you do. I've also made this comment multiple times, and I saw that you replied to it in the stream that we're doing right now. And I just got to say it right here. Child support, family court makes bank off of hateful mothers and loving fathers. I was legally married to my son's mother for 13 years, together for 15, entirely faithful the entire time. I won't give you the sob story because I know I only got so much time, but I will say that after the birth of our kid, she changed just dramatically, complete and total personality overhaul change. And this woman who used to love me just started to hate me. And I remember looking back on my life and seeing how so many men I knew went through the same thing. I joined support groups, co-ed support groups, and the mothers hated their fathers. And the men were like so many guys that call into your show, just wanted to be good dads, were good men with good jobs, but just found themselves, no matter what they did, they were just sacrificed at the altar of family court. I've been divorced now for 5 years, and for 2 of those years, I court watched and literally took notes as a member of the Fathers' Rights Movement. And I'm sorry, not sorry. It's women. The only reason family court is fueled the way it is because these mothers will push and push and push for more child support. At any point, we all know it's 80% of divorce is initiated by women, and at any point, those women could look at their lawyers and say, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want this much money. I don't want to deny him this much time with the kids, and on and on. They're the ones calling the shots. It's really them. And I know there's this whole stigma about things like MGTOW and all that, but I got to tell you, in my early 40s, looking back at my own situation and the situations of men that I hear from literally every day, I don't see any other solution than to just avoid marriage, avoid relationships, avoid just be done. Boys on one side, girls on the other. I don't see any other solution to the problem of child support, family court, divorce rates, anything like that. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So thank you guys for doing what you do. I hope we can make things better.
Absolutely, man. You know, I guess right away, the easiest way to answer that, Dwayne, is there was a lot of truth to what he said. But these evil women that he's talking about could not do that if the system wasn't created.
Right.
They take advantage of the system. So they can't do it without the system, right? Because the system is what gave them rights. The system is what allows them to keep prodding at them. I want more money. I want this. I want this. And it has created a lot of those evil women. There is going to be evil women no matter what. but I do believe family court is the one that throws the fuel on the fire.
Oh yeah.
They
Jet fuel.
are the ones that set the stage in the middle of your conflict. Let's show you how to fight and make even more conflict. They're not telling you how to get along. And then one finds out I've got the upper hand. And if I'm this person, I mean, dude, how many people, when he said, you know what, had a perfect marriage, and then once she got pregnant or had the kid, she hated me. It was like night and day difference. It's almost like they had this planned. I think many
it's
of them
chemical. I mean, it may be
well, it could
planned.
be chemical too, but I think sometimes it's even planned. If you can get with somebody, you can have a kid, you can go through this system.
You
And
own
a
them
lot of these
afterwards.
people, unfortunately, dude, if you want to get married, divorced, and have a couple of kids, you can make a career off of this.
Teach you how to do it. Yeah. Now I was triggered through most of that because, well, it was, I had 2 kids with my bio mother, and I'm not going to say things were great on, at the beginning and all that, but, it was typical. We can call it typical, whatever, hindsight being 2020. But when my second son was born, I mean, it was like, wasn't that great to, oh boy. And yeah, using the system and I want more child support and I'm going to put you in jail now because it's that control and the craziness. Yeah, Jeff, the system's tyrannical. It is evil. He pegged it. And, and a number of the other comments that are coming in. Yeah. And I know it's not politically correct to say, no women, but when you do the math, statistics guy, and you do the math, you see what happens. Getting married and doing this is like putting 5 rounds into a 6-round chamber and spinning it. Those are not good odds.
Russian roulette.
The thing, yeah, it's right. And there are days I think it's with a semi-auto, but that's a whole different topic. But for the gun guys, they'll get the joke how that works with a semi-auto. There's no.
Oh, I got you.
Sorry, it's a dork joke.
I believe this guy pretty much said what most men are thinking.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and he was telling the truth. This is what a lot of men are wanting to say. And they're saying, we're not going to go through it again. The only way that we can completely avoid it is not to get involved at all. I hear you. And I'm not going to put you down for it. At the same time, I believe in the nuclear family. There's a reason why a man and woman together makes a life. Right. Somewhere along the way, the system got skewed. And that's why I don't want to keep going to attorneys, politicians, and judges, because this is their system. They're the ones that created this.
Working as designed.
A lot of the blood, the murders that you're seeing, that blood is on their hands. Because I have to believe a lot of these situations would have never happened if it wasn't something that went through their Cash for Kids scheme.
Oh yeah, yeah. It creates all this, all the and the thing is, I've told women this, but I want to tell them, it's like women, and again, I know it's going, oh man, it happens both sides. Get it, but again, it's the 80%, and we're just not going to apologize for that anymore. It happens 80% of the time, and there's all this other stuff. But women, you are pawns in this whole scheme. I mean, if you think you're powerful because you have the control and you get to dictate this, you're a pawn in the larger scheme of the government destroying the country, your family. They're ruining your kids, and you can sit there and say all you want that, oh, my kid's better off, and or the kids are better off, and what about a toxic let's just cut the crap on that. I mean, let's look and really get into that, and in your darkest heart of hearts, think about what's really going on. Yeah, no, this guy said pretty much what every guy thinks.
Well, dude, and that's what I said. A lot of the ladies do too. Read that comment on the screen, Dwayne.
My son told her grandma in high school she was going to live off of child support. Oh, my ex-wife in child support court said, I live off the child support. I just got a new house. I need more money. Oh, the brazen. Oh, that all the time. Yeah. That's created that entitlement. It's the whole feed the bear mentality. You start feeding the bear and they become dependent and they get entitled and they expect the money, and you're just a deadbeat and you're just a whatever. Why won't you do it? Oh, yeah.
So Mr. Way Up on YouTube said, it's possible to engage with boundaries, no cohabitation, no marriage, no children, enjoy the love while it lasts, and let it end amicably. Unfortunately, a lot of times it doesn't end amicably. And then that woman thinks, and they use that type of culture to even push child support and everything even more, right? Because
Well-
the guy's just going to up and he's going to leave. He doesn't want a relationship. It's always going to come back on the guy.
Yeah. Well, we have I mean, and I know he's thinking Mr. Weapon. I'm sure he's done this research on it, but the whole no cohabitation, because again, that gets the alimony and the asset. There was a case I think a year or two ago. It was I think it was in Canada, maybe in the States, but they had that. They never had the. They never were married. They never cohabitated, but the guy was worth some money. Well, the court said she gets half of it. They never, there was no, and the courts admitted it, but they just felt that since they were a couple that she should get it. Yeah, there's no way out. I mean, we have other
I
stories.
remember being with a woman after she got pregnant, only together for like 4 or 5 months, and she said, half everything you own is mine.
To have
What?
the cojones to say that to
Oh yeah, half
someone.
everything you own is mine. And then that was, they kept begging me to marry him. Marry me, marry me, marry me.
Yeah.
And dude, I was just like, I was
Red
getting
flag,
that
red
pressure,
flag.
you know? And I was like, you know what? I'll do it tomorrow, but I want a prenup. And that's where the crap just hit the fan,
Kryptonite.
dude.
Yeah.
And
the
it's like,
prenup.
what's wrong? You really want to get in the relationship? You want to get married? There is people that use that. Oh, you're just using that as an excuse. That's your 1 foot out the door. No, it's not. No, it's not. If you believe that we're going to be here and we're going to be like this, you've got nothing to fear with that. Guys, protect yourself with it. Not saying that a prenup always lasts, but
Well, the prenup, got your, hey, for you guys out there, Sexy Find XYZ's out on the trot there.
oh, is she? She's done
Yeah,
showed up.
They're
Get a
out.
prenup with her too.
But a prenup, now, again, for everyone that needs to hear this, is that a prenup does nothing for child support, which we all know is alimony part 2, but it does nothing for that. And here's what's funny about a prenup and why, and it should give everyone reason to pause. A prenup, most of the time, is going to say whatever you walked into this marriage before we were married is yours, and whatever I had is mine. That's fair.
It's fair. That would stop a lot of this from happening.
Yeah.
Maybe it should be mandatory.
You would think it should be. That's why actually post-nups are better, but prenup, because they will get thrown out if there's enough money involved. And then we'll just say usually it's the woman that's upset with this. She says, "Oh no. Now again, marriage is nothing but a contract. It's conveying title, licenses, properties, and assets. That's all. If you look at the document, the marriage certificate, that's all it says. Nothing about love. The word love is never mentioned in one. And the prenup is saying, well, if we break up, whatever I owned before we got together, I keep. Whatever you owned, you keep. They get mad at that. Why?
Let me say something, Dwayne, because I see we got some MGTOW in here, and then we got some of the father's rights guys, and everybody's all across the table. If we say something in here that you might not agree with, or maybe you say something we don't agree with, but we discuss it, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay, but we're all in here for the same reasons. We realize there's a problem. So you might hear us say something sometimes like, I don't agree with that. That's okay, man. You're still my brother.
Yeah. Oh,
You can still eat at the table with us because we're all trying to fix a problem. So I want to encourage this, even if you're one of those, it's like, I just don't know if I'm seeing eye to eye with it. Then bring it in here because we want to discuss it. And I think that's how we find common ground, right?
Oh, yeah.
Or you can do like we was talking about earlier in the program and watch all these different things that they set in place to divide us, right?
Yeah.
And I want to find ways to heal the divide. I understand why some men are going their own way. And I'm going to tell you, when I went through my stuff, I planned on being a MGTOW for the rest of my life, right? I think most of us did. We said, we are not going through that anymore. But there is that part of us that wants that partner, and we want that sustainable relationship. Unfortunately, they've made what they've made, and it's hard. And the only way that these guys can say, I'm not getting involved, is to do that. So we're in here with you. We're your brothers. And I think we have more in common than you could ever imagine. But let's nurture these conversations and get in here and learn together. I think that's the only way we find the solution is to get all of our guys to the table, right?
Yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
everybody's going to
shoulders.
have different ways and different views and different solutions to it. But maybe the more we have the conversations, we start finding where the common ground is and where we can all come to the plate together. With that said, we've only got through one voicemail. I'm going to get to there. I mean, we go off on our stuff, but it's good to be here. 762-441-0281.
Hey guys, good morning. My name's Rob Knable from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I'm 52 years old. I had a custody order between my ex-girlfriend and I for my son, where I had primary custody. He had 2 days each week visitation. Started having trouble with her communicating. Went to court. The judge give her 50-50 custody when I had proof and 2 years of calendar of days, nights, arguments, fights, monies, helps, and it was not considered. I ended up having to pay, they didn't give me credit for insurance that I negotiated when I took this job because I quit my job to be a stay-at-home dad 2 years ago. My whole life changed, and you know, so I didn't get credit for insurance. I get a truck allowance for my work. I work for a crane company, and they use that as earned income. All said and done, I got to pay $1,100 basically between day after school care and money to her. Plus, the judge awarded her for me to pay for her lawyer to the tune of $7,000. All of this is supposed to come out at the first of each month. This is the first month that I've had to do this, and she works 32 hours a week at a dental office. And she's always choose to have a job where she has a 3-day weekend every weekend. A whole lot going on there. It's just, I was in disbelief. The judge didn't even take a recess, to deliberate. You know, he didn't have it in his mind she was going to be granted 50-50 custody. Her and her lawyer didn't come in to talk about custody. They come in to talk about money. They had worksheets already made up, how much gas she spends to go to work, and you know, no one was even granted a primary care for school. He is in school from my address, but 50-50 is hard on a 5-year-old, and I've had him every day of his life except for the 2 days each week up to this point, and hell, I'll be honest, I don't. Hey guys, good morning.
We lost it there. So, Dwayne, I was trying my best to follow that. Can you give me that in a nutshell?
I wish I could. I was, trying to kind of, and that's why it's so important. Again, 3 minutes, getting right, into it. But it sounds like, he was custody, had some child support issues. They did the old, I guess an allowance or a piece for his truck, but they went ahead and included that in. Well, and again, that's the way the laws is any income. It doesn't matter if you're selling your stamp book collection. I mean, if it's income, that's gonna be part of the percentage. But it was just the whole custody, trying to get that done. That judge ignored evidence and information that I guess he's presenting, and they interested in the money and said, okay, we're gonna pull all this together and you owe that, and then just did, I hate to say it, did another normal day in court.
Yep.
Money, doesn't care about the kids.
Carnell mentioned something the other day, and there was one thing that this gentleman mentioned. I figured I'd bring this up. He had said something about Sam's. He was talking about Sam's. I was like, what in the heck is a Sam? He said, stay-at-home mom.
Stay-at-home mom.
And so then I got to grinding in the head about that, and I said, so for dad, it would be sad. Stay-at-home dad. Think of the different ways that those are looked at. When you hear stay-at-home dad,
yeah.
what's the first thing that you think of, Dwayne?
Loser. I mean,
Loser.
years ago, actually, there was a guy that lived across the street from me, and he was a stay-at-home dad. And because the wife made more, and then they got divorced. It was an interesting one. But I was like, wow, because again, men we're thought of as providers only
Yep.
because of the media and what's been shoved down our throats over the last 100 years in media that we're not caretakers. But yeah, when you see the dads, it's getting better a little bit, but when you think of a stay-at-home dad, you think
Stigma.
okay, yeah, it's the stigma of it, and they have to face it too because they're the only dad that shows up to kid play time and things like that. You think of that there's something not quite right. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know, because of that stigma. Like I said, most of the
Yeah.
time they're supposed to be the provider. Most of you hear stay-at-home dad, there's not going to be much sympathy there. But
Oh, no.
I say we're one of the stories that we reported on here where that came to a head. We had a father that had been battling for a long time to get custody of his child, going through alienation, couldn't get him. And then one night, while the mom's in a hotel making drugs, she blows up her son because she was using butane to make the drugs with, and 200 something surgeries the kid's been through. Now dad has custody, but because of the burns and the operation that this boy went through, he can't work a job. Every so many minutes, they have to put cream on his skin, because if not, the skin doesn't grow anymore. It'll crack.
Right.
Once a month or every 2 months, they have to take him to the hospital, get like his arm cut and pigskin put in there because he's a growing boy. His skin doesn't grow. So they got to give it room to stretch. And he had to be there 24 hours around the clock to take care of his son. He was a stay-at-home dad. Well, there wasn't no sympathy even with that situation, Dwayne, because he had a trach to breathe with from that operation and how it messed up his insides. And he needed a $150,000 operation to rewire his breathing system, or he was going to die. That was just the bottom line. If he doesn't get this, he is going to die. Well, insurance says pre-existing condition, even though that was supposed to be let out. So they weren't going to pay for it. Now this dad that has to stay at home with his son is told that if you don't get $150,000 up for your son, the inevitable is going to happen.
Right.
And that's when we stepped in and started doing everything we could to raise money for this kid. And we did. And he got that operation.
Oh, wow.
He's needing another one. But when that story went viral, it went viral. So there's people that's been taking care of him. And I thank this community so much, because it was because of this community that this kid's still here. Okay. But think about that. 24 hours a day. He has to be there, has to take care of him. Kid needs an operation. Even if he was working a full-time job, $150,000 is a lot of dough to come up with, man.
Yeah.
Where was the sympathy there? Where was the sympathy? And it's like, he can be a dad now, but only because this happened, right? Just some more of the consequences. But when we talk about stay-at-home dads, here would have been one that nobody would even have been looking at that situation. And I would say a lot of the situations where we're having to have stay-at-home dads is probably due to a custody battle that's got some of these issues in there, and they're not looking at them. That there were so many thoughts running through my head, even the other night, on these statistics and how the statistics don't tell the whole story. Because if you look at Tyrone Darling's kids, the boy up there, I love and miss my daddy. That is now a fatherless child.
Mm-hmm.
But is that fatherless child, what's the statistic? Is it going to say fatherless child because of dad was murdered? It's going to go back to the narrative, fatherless child because dad's not there.
Right. Yeah.
And even let's be honest, the Black community, they are looked at with fatherlessness, right? So it's going to look like there was another absent dad. No, this dad died taking care of his kids. And those statistics aren't going to tell you those stories. They're just
statistics won't tell. They'll skew them, NAWAL or null or whatever they're calling themselves. They'll skew the data and put the tick under fatherless child, not murdered. Hey, Preston. There's an ACLU article, which I know that there's they do have some good data. You got to kind of weed through it to get to the. But I'm sorry, but they talked a little bit in this article. They talked a little history about what happened to black fathers over the decades. And it was funny because I keep seeing the date 1969, 1970 being thrown out as to when everything for the black fathers and the black family really went in the pooper. And no fault divorce came out, and the government assistance and all those other changes started kicking in, removing the father from the house, and then creating that dependency on the government. And then, here we are today. I mean,
They replaced the dad with the government because they need votes, and they want you to depend on them. You have needs. You haven't been told to be a provider, so we will be your provider. And when you can get all this right now for the low price of not having the dad in the home.
right.
That's how the law reads. You can have everything. You can have this big package over here, as long as you don't let that man in the house.
Oh yeah.
Or a lot of them, the man will be there. You just can't get married.
Oh, right. Yeah. You
You
cannot
can't
get
get
married.
married. You gotta
You
fudge
can't
the
get your
paperwork.
incentives. You can't get your welfare. You can't get Section 8 housing. You recently had found some interesting information out about the Section 8 world.
No, I mean, like I did. I've known about it for a while, and it
Oh,
was
okay.
Ken Klasick that actually was teaching me about this. It was crazy. Jeff Morgan's been here way longer than me. And
Mhm.
like he came to me the other day when we was talking, he was like, Eric, I had no idea that existed. I was like, you didn't? Guys, I mean, Title 4D is the one that this community waves the flag about, but why isn't Section 8 talked about more? I mean, all right, we'll go back. After no fault divorce, all that different stuff started. They started giving, government assistance to these needy families, these single moms. And they said, we'll give you food stamps, we'll give you welfare, we'll give you housing, we'll give you insurance, we'll give you all these things you need for and more, but not if there's a man in the home.
Right.
And that's the way the law reads. If they see a man or a dad in the home, that assistance that you may think you need isn't going to be there. Now, how much is a regular dad or somebody that would be needing this type of assistance going to be able to provide in the first place? They're saying, I can get a home, I can get this, I can get this, I can get this. All I got to do is get him out of here.
Right.
And then I can go get me another man.
Right.
Then I can do it again.
And again. And again.
Then I can
and
do it again.
Mhm.
And then I can do it again. They have incentivized people to not get married and to make sure that that man is not there. Why does that bill read that there can't be a man in the home? Is that not sexist?
Mm.
Is that not a target? And I'm going to tell you that came after the black family more than any other legislation out
Oh
there.
yeah.
And if you look at the black family 50, 60 years ago, that was one of the strongest family units. They go in and put this legislation in there. And now we get the fatherless rate that we're seeing now, 3 to 4 out of 5 kids without a dad in the home in that community.
Mhm.
They have duped these guys, duped them. And that is controversial. I get it, but it's the truth. Look at the law. Don't argue with me. Argue
Yeah.
with the way it was written. You tell me, if you're a dad in that community, how did that benefit you? That's what you need to tell me. It didn't. And it's the reason why you see it. I mean, heck, when I was in that convenience store, all those guys said, hell, we were all without a dad. We were all without a dad. You need to interview every single one of us.
That's
And this is the way it's going, guys. And we've got to be calling it out. And that's what I said. People talk about Title 4D. Yeah, that's pretty bothersome. But Section 8 is just as bad,
oh yeah.
if not
Well,
worse.
And then the ACLU article talked about the forced adoptions and removing children and adopting them out. The black community has they're the second highest of children that are adopted out forcefully, and then basically it's the income inequality, which then they come in and remove them because they don't have any money, and then adopt them out. Well, Title 4E is that section where there's all these federal funds for that. And again, it's all intertwined. I mean, you can only put that tinfoil hat, on your head so hard, but I mean, it's all this system. I mean, when it's said that they have been planning and working, and again, it started out as probably a good thing, but when they saw and they started connecting the dots, these guys know what they're doing, and they're weaving this in every move they make. Boy, it sounds like what's that band? Every move you make, I'll be watching you. But they I mean, it's all intertwined in there, and we've got to have people wake up. We've got to have the men wake up. We've got to have the women wake up. Tyrone's mother had some very
Mhm.
stern words.
She put it
for
out
the-
there, didn't she?
She threw it out there. She dropped the bomb, and it needs to be said. And it shouldn't matter who it comes from, a man or a woman, but hearing a woman say to everyone that all the females in the community, you have got to, I don't want to ruin it. You need to. It was very powerful to, to watch that. But women need to realize they're pawns in this.
Dude, Mr. Way Up on YouTube. I'm
Mr.
going to
Way
read
Up.
it. He said, Black Dad here. Absolutely true, but admitting a mistake was made is unlikely for this community.
Ah.
Lack of accountability rarely leads to accountability in the absence of consequences. Why is that? I'd love to hear from you on
Yeah.
that. And this is one of those things I've realized. If you look at the media, dude, we're getting into dangerous territory here because these are
We
the
are.
conversations they don't want us to have. They don't want us to be talking
Division
about
Street.
Section 8 and educating you guys on what's going on. We're getting into dangerous territory here. This is the things that we're supposed to keep swept under the rug. So we need you now more than ever, but let's have it. They are counting on all of these different groups, whether it's Latinos, blacks, whites, to stay divided.
Yep.
And the thing is, we're all going through challenges. They might be a little bit different. I'm not going to understand what they're going on in the streets in Arlington, Texas, or Baltimore, but you ain't going to understand what's going on here in Columbus, Georgia. But when you look why it's happening,
Right.
why it's happening is the same. And all of us should be able to lock arms and say, enough of this. But they make you think the problem is with us and each other.
Right.
The problem isn't with us. It's these same people that keep creating these incentives that are making money off the problem. But we have the red team and we have the blue team. The red team stands for this. The blue team stands for this. Which one are you going to vote for? There's people that just vote straight tickets down the way. And nobody wants to talk about voting. Nobody wants to talk about voting because that's just a boring topic. These guys have completely taken you guys for granted. And I hate to say it. It's because our people have been duped. They fall for it.
Yeah.
They fall for it.
I was stupid.
Go to any of your national media right now, get down in the comments and tell me it's not working. They are banking on the fact that we're never going to get together and do what we were doing the other night, Dwayne.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting back. And sometimes I say, I think we've made this, the solution more complicated than it needs to be. We need to be going and having conversations and say, look, I might not understand what this guy in California or New York or wherever it is going through, but he might not understand me. But I guarantee you, when we get down to the crux of the matter and start telling you what happened, the system is operating as designed and they don't want us talking to each other.
Right.
We're going to do it. That's when we need to do it even more.
Well, this past Thursday was a perfect example. I haven't lost a child. You haven't lost a child. We were there with a parent that had lost a child. We had people that were out of state that lost a child under the same, some under different circumstances that were there. We were all locking arms, and it all got if you peel off that layer and get down to it, it was all about greed and money and the Title 4D and the government subsidies and the duping of America, or of the world. Again, we talk about the United States. It's all over the world. I mean, this is the same formula being played out all over the world, but we were there. We didn't have to be. It didn't impact directly. I've never lost a child. I couldn't understand what she was going through, or what Glenn Terry was going through, or Robert Mass, or all the other people. But I was there because I know at the root of this is that system that we are all connected. Designed. Yeah.
We are all connected. And I can tell you, 2 years ago, I didn't know the Mass family. I feel like I've taken on a complete new family, man.
Mm-hmm.
And we're connected through this battle. Like talking about Jeff Morgan, he was saying, I didn't know that was for single moms. I thought it was for low income families. Amanda Burnett, I thank you for putting this up. I'm going to read both of her comments. She said, the father of 2 of my children had his parental rights terminated, and then there is no support allowed for the kids. The court's punishing the kids at the end of the day in Texas. And then she was replying to Jeff. She said, Section 8 is for low income. But when my friend's wife up and left, the dad that has 4 kids, he lost the Section 8 because the mom left. Why is that, Dwayne?
Well, there's
I think you're going to see things on the surface and worded differently to make you think that it's not what we're telling you here.
right.
Tell me how many single dads are getting Section 8. That's how we need to be looking at it. Because when we make statements, they're going to find any way they can to cancel the conversation that we're having right now. How many dads, single dads, are getting that Section 8? How many homes that have a dad in there where they're married, they have a nuclear family, are getting that? We got to start taking away their argument before they can make it, Dwayne.
Yeah.
Because it's always going to be made, they're wrong. They're wrong. No, we're not. System again, operating as it's designed. And look at your statistics. Your statistics are so easy to skew. I was talking about the fatherless statistics. Those kids down in Arlington, Texas, John Mass kids, Chad Reed's kids, Justin Goolsby's kids, they're all fatherless children now. That's not from an absent father. Those were from fathers that got murdered. And one of the strongest things I heard the other night was hearing that mom say, I told my son to stop fighting because I was afraid this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Had he not fought for his kids, had he not loved his kids, had he not stayed in there, he might still be here. That's what the legislation needs to hear. Now, you're asking somebody to care about something that I believe doesn't have a heart. They don't.
They don't. They'll sit there and they'll pop a tear down and they don't care. I mean, they don't care. It's until the people lock arms and say, we're not going to, I know the whole Dee Snider thing, we're not going to take it and push forward. That's when it's going to change.
Well, I think healing that divide, making sure that we're telling each other stories. I want to go back to the streets of Baltimore. I'm telling you, in the same night, I am there in the streets of Baltimore, one of the scariest places I ever been, man. I wasn't scared one bit, though, because I knew what I was fighting for. Mm-hmm. I leave from there, and I'm speaking at a country club, Donald Trump's country club, to be exact, in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Okay, I got asked to make a presentation there. And I kept thinking to myself, I want to be back in those streets. I saw what was going on.
Get real
me
people
back there. Get me back to the real people, the real stories, the ones that are hurting, and show us what's going on. I'm learning. And it's as simple as showing up and saying, talk to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I don't see any of our politicians out there. I don't see any of our movement out there.
No, they won't get
because
out there.
Because they're cowards.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. And we are not going to be able to give a solution to our problem unless we face it. And so we need to get in there and start doing the work that's needed. We can keep trying, as you said many times, Dwayne, doing the same thing over is insanity.
Yeah.
And somebody might say it's insane for us to be going and covering these cases where murders happen, in the parking lots where they happen. But I just got to step out on faith and say, I know the battle that we're fighting, and we're going to be protected.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, getting back into the finances of, you spent a lot, getting down there, but when that comes out, it's going to hopefully, that mother that hears Tyrone's mother speak, had you not come down here and created that awareness, maybe there's going to be another a mother that hears it, goes, ooh, I'm being a jerk to the baby daddy. I'm going to stop doing that. Or the father that's doing it to the mother. I mean, once this gets out, I mean, how many times, and it's going to take a number of times, but how many times, the girls get together and they're like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. And then that one female, I'm sure I can probably name some names in here of that one woman that said, what you're doing to him is wrong. You should not.
That one speaks louder than any of them.
Yeah.
That one speaks louder than any of them because they're like, what the hell are you saying? But they know that one is the one telling the truth. Yeah. It's so easy to follow the leader, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you might have to create that new leader, that one that's not afraid to stand up for what they believe in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's they come in, they say, I've got to be that person, or be that voice for all these other people that can't. But we need more people talking about this. And again, that's why the ladies that are in the group here, again, we love you. I mean, we want you here. Do not take anything of what we've ever said as we hate women or we hate you or whatever.
You don't have to explain that to them, Dwayne.
I just don't.
You just don't. I mean, and that's what I said. Is it feels like we gotta
Yeah, the
take
real
away
one.
that argument, or we're not bashing women. You don't have to tell those ladies anything.
You're
They
right.
know it.
Yeah,
The
you're
only
right.
ones that are going to show up and act offended are the ones that want you to shut up.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
apologizing to somebody that doesn't want you to talk or doesn't like what you're saying
Yeah.
is, again, insanity. We're just going to have to get unapologetic with the movement and for what it is.
Yeah.
And I think the movement's been waiting on that. There's a way to do that peacefully. Just say enough of the, what was I said? The ghost with the diarrhea. Enough of the bullshit.
The bullshit.
Enough of the bullshit.
Or
We ain't doing this no more. All right, we got a few more voicemails.
Gotta get number 2. The second voicemail. The third voicemail.
Third. It's the
Third.
third.
Hey,
Look,
we're
hey man,
doing
we're
better.
making good time with
Yeah.
these. So keep them rolling. 762-441-0281.
Hey, this is Chris out of Denver. Hey, I wanted to share an experience that I've seen. I've seen child support not disclosed to a remarried husband, and I've seen that remarried husband pay for the stepchild's expenses, and I've found that the remarried father had been not disclosed of the child support and a whole different separate non-marriage account having that child support go to, making that the current father, the second marriage husband, was paying for the support of the child, while the fact was the first husband and the first father was funding nothing but the mother in the hidden account. And then as well, the second husband had a bulldog attorney hired against him, and most likely that came from the same account as the first father's child support money was being put into, making for one father's child support money, helping collect child support money from another father, and a complete scandalous use and abuse of child support money. Thanks for the opportunity to vent.
But we're equal.
I'm guessing he's talking about his personal situation. All right,
Yeah.
give me that one back in a nutshell, because it was first father, second father, this. And
So-
I think I got the gist of it, but wow.
Yeah, the nutshell part of it is she's sneaky. Well, so she gets remarried, new guy. She tells him, "Oh, I'm poor. I get no money. The other dad's a deadbeat. Blah blah blah." And all the while, she's taking that child support money that he's paying, put into a separate account that she doesn't tell the new husband about. The new husband's like, "Oh, the poor kids. These are my bonus children. I'm going to take care of them. I'm going to support them too." And she's over there playing the wounded kitten going, "Oh, I'm so broke. Yeah. Well, again, he's the guy's been duped, but he's trying to do the right thing. And this girl's saying advantage because they always have an exit plan, because she's like, "We're equal, but I'm going to keep this over here for myself." No, that's normal. That's the way it should be. Oh my God. All those piss me off so bad. Because this guy, he's like, "Oh my God, this guy's a dead," he's believing the narrative. I mean, how many of us have been told the narrative? And he's like, I'm gonna stand up and be that, good step parent, and I'm gonna provide a roof, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, because this other guy's not doing it. And all the while, she's like, I got my side cash going on, my secret account over here. I'm gonna do. And then when she, of course, when she just does it to the new guy, she's gonna do this rinse and repeat. Oh my God, those people piss me off.
You ever seen Andy Kaufman when he did Mighty Mouse?
I've seen Andy Kaufman, that Man Over the Moon.
Man on the Moon, when Jim Carrey did it. Andy was funny. They play the whole Mighty Mouse song, and he'll just sit there and act like he's singing along to it, but he's just standing still until "Here I come to save the day." And it's like, I mean, that just keeps going through my mind. You know what, guys? There's a lot of you that have good hearts and you're empathetic.
Yeah.
And if you love somebody, you'll provide for them, because it's a natural instinct for us to provide.
Yeah.
But you get into that situation and you say, "Look, I'll put you on a pedestal and I'll do all this for you." And equality was never anywhere in your mind. Is it wrong to say, "I want you to pay half of the house payment? I want you to pay half of the lights, half of the grocery bill, half of the car payment"?
You're equal.
I mean, we talk about equality. Is it wrong? But there's these guys in here. Here I come to save the day. I'm going to pay for all of it. Yes, I say. And then you have no idea that they're just stuffing that money back saying, screw this guy. Let me get what I can out of it. And once I'm done with him, on to the next.
On to the next one.
Yeah,
And
it's
you
crazy.
wonder
man.
why people go MGTOW. Because again, people
Yeah.
know about that scenario going down. They're like,
we just
why
keep
would-
making MGTOW look better and better.
I know. Yeah. But you wonder, I mean, for the ladies are like, oh my God, whatever. When a guy is faced with these stories or personal or from friends or seeing it, you got to wonder why we go, I don't know. Oh, there's a deadbeat. Yeah, the word in Genesis means side, not rib.
Yep.
Scandalous.
It's
Jason,
scandalous.
sorry, that's a Tuesday where I'm from. I mean, there's so many. I'm poking fun at you. It's so normal. And the thing is, a lot of women that they think that, like, if she were to tell her, well, she probably didn't think of it on her own, but if she's talking to her girlfriends and she's like, yeah, he's taking care of me, but I got this side. Oh, you got to have an exit strategy because, if he screws you over, then blah, 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 blah. And then they get that chatter going and then you're like, yeah. And they build each other up. And again, for the ladies on here, tell me I'm wrong. I'll wait.
One thing before we get to the next voicemail, do the impression of the lady again, Dwayne.
Oh, which one?
The girl talking to her girlfriend.
Oh, I mean, and you gotta keep something for yourself, and you gotta do this, and he's gonna do that, and you gotta just get it down, forget all that.
All right, on to the next. 762-441-0281.
I channeled.
Stacy from Texas.
I channeled there for a minute. I don't know what happened. I got overcome
It's like
with the
somebody
spirit.
took control of your body.
It happened.
All
right.
Oh,
Sorry.
shit, dude.
Uh-oh.
All right. John Highland said, I love you guys. I got to go cry. My dad hasn't met my my first daughter yet, and he's dying from lung cancer.
Oh, man.
Dude, the one thing that, maybe I can tell this gentleman, my dad loved his grandkids so much. And the only solace that I've had with what's going on now, because I used to be very sad that he wasn't around to see my last daughter born, but he wouldn't have been seeing her anyway. And he's not having to see that because if he wouldn't have died by then, that would have killed him. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
That would have took him out because the grandparents' love is just as special as a parent's many times, guys. And I'm so sorry that you're going through that, John, man. Best wishes to you, man. I just don't know how another parent can hold back people like that. Here's Jeff Morgan. He says,
Jeff's story.
I have 2 grandchildren I have never seen and 2 others that I haven't seen for almost 8 years. And I know you guys are just seeing a comment, but I can guarantee you on the other side of that screen, he's crying tears right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because these grandparents get lost in the conversation sometimes. And there has been a lot of these cases where the grandparents just need to step out. We know that.
Yeah.
I have seen more cases than not where these grandparents are just being robbed of a relationship. That they would be spoiling those kids just as much. If you needed a night off, they would love for their grandkid to be there with them so you can go take a night off. But they're giving them back to you at the end of the night. But they want to get them in there. They want to spoil them. They want to give them all the food that you normally wouldn't let them eat. That's what grandparents do.
That's what they do.
We all remember some of our grandparents' food, right? Something that we miss. And there's this child just not getting any of those memories. The girl that I'm going to have on later on tonight, guys, never got to meet her dad's parents.
Yeah.
And they waited all those years for that reunion to happen. And she says, I don't even know who they were. If they love me, I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. That is child abuse.
And there are articles that talk about bringing the data back and that for development of the child, having that grandparent relationship is fundamental. It's not a side discussion. It's a fundamental part to raising healthy kids. It's such a big part. And, again, to have people removing other in a divorce and breakup, doing that, there's so many ripple effects there. And again, our government does it for the money. I'm sorry, our states, government and our states and everybody else. But I hope that, he can see his kids. And Jeff's story, you need to, for people on here, need to, read on Jeff's story. Jeff is one of this. I hate to call him a soldier. He's more of like a 5-star general. This man is on fire to change all these problems and everything. And again, his story is no fault divorce. His the grandparents' rights. But he's one of those guys that locks shoulders with so many issues that people that don't see all the interconnections between them, that he shouldn't be involved in, but he's in there. And I wish we had a million more like him. It'd be over if we had 3 more like him, it'd probably be over. He's a fighter,
dude. And champions that no fault divorce, you don't really hear people talking about the no fault divorce much, but I tell you, Title 4D, Section 8, that's where a lot of that started, guys. And that conversation needs to get out there. Unfortunately, they hear no fault divorce and like, that's never going to change. That's just one of those that gets swept under the rug, even more than the shared parenting issue. But it was where, like I said, a lot of this started, guys. Reagan said it was his biggest regret that he ever did. But we got a couple more voicemails we're going to get into here. I am so sorry about that, John, man. Make sure go spend every minute. If I could talk to you as a son that went through this with my dad, every minute that you have that you can be over there, go do it. If any of you are about to lose your dad, I don't care what the situation was, how long it's been since you've talked, but you love that man, something's going on, let your pride go out there and spend every moment you can, because when you don't have that opportunity, it's the only thing you're going to think about.
Yeah.
Okay. Get over there now. 762-441-0281.
And I feel like child support should be abolished in Texas. My husband, for one child, pays $500 a month. And technically, if you really think about it, the child is, the dad's actually paying double. The dad pays his own bills in his own home, and then the child support helps the mother pay her bills and for the child. And then when the child comes with him, he's paying double groceries, double electric, double gas. Honestly, I really think that child support should be abolished in Texas.
And that was quick and to the point.
She nailed it. I mean, yeah, if you think about it, yeah, he's got to pay for everything in his house, and he has to pay for a decent $500 in this case in her house. Perfectly stated. I mean,
50-50.
Now, abolished in Texas, I hate to be that person, but it'll never happen.
No. That's too big of a gravy train down there.
Yeah, the state budget, and you can do the numbers. Texas would not make their budget without that money coming in.
That Title 4D money.
Never do it. They're going to string you along.
What would happen if that money went away? Like if we could actually pull this damn thing off, what are these states going to do if that money gets pulled away?
Well, Kentucky, that's what happened. Kentucky got 50-50, which removed a lot of the child support. And then within 2 years, they weren't able to make their state budget. And they were crying about it. And again, there are some things on the horizon. Well, again, the Unborn Child Act. They're going to
more child support. We need more child support. And dude, so like I was in a chat trying to reach out to every leader or whatever you call it in Texas saying, hey, we got this vigil coming. Everybody needs to show up. Shouldn't even have to do that. Let's just show up. When 803 happened, I was there. I didn't need my name on the flyer. You didn't have to beg me. We was there. I want to lock arms with my brothers. I got no skin in the game in Texas, but I love you. Right. Anyway, getting back to that, man, it was one of those things like I forgot where I was going. What were we talking about? No, I had it there, man. I'm on lack of sleep, which I ain't lack of sleep. I got a lot of it last night, but refresh me.
Child support, Kentucky, getting it passed. What would happen? If we passed it, what would happen to the states? We of course lose that money. Ooh, Dwayne's on.
Yeah, Dwayne Robert.
Yeah.
You want to join us?
Oh yeah. If Dwayne can get on, you are in for a treat.
Oh yeah, Dwayne.
Not hold the name against him.
But no. I hate it. I had a brain for it. That is the worst one when you do it on screen, dude.
Let's see. Kentucky. Getting the dad out of the picture. It needs to be abolished.
He's gone.
We did talk about HB 803 and you coming down here on your own dime, and
so I went in an tirade, basically. But It is, talking about that, like with Kentucky guys, like in the legislation. Here is, they did something special, but now they're talking about they might have to overturn it.
Mhm.
We have a war on the horizon, and just because they pass a law doesn't mean that they can't take it back away. And there are so
Colorado.
many different cogs in this wheel that we need to be protected. We do. So anyway,
Sounds like
yeah,
an-
Miguel said he's got to go. The place is so sad, but it needs to be talked about. This is triggering conversations for people, man. It
Yeah.
really is. Mr. Dwayne Roberts said, with child support and alimony, my ex was able to live off of me 100% for 7 years. Once 2 of the 3 kids fell off, then she got a job.
Yeah. And Dwayne, he runs, he has a great program. It is Dad Surviving Divorce.
Yes.
John's trying to remember the name there, but it's a great program. Lots of resources. He's a great guy, not just because his name's Dwayne, even though he spells it goofy.
Are you sure that's not what it is?
But yeah, and I hope he can join that. You guys would be in for a treat because he brings a great perspective to all of this for healing, getting all that. But yeah, great guy. And I'm sorry that it is some of the content is sad. I wish we do need to talk about the other things. And I think
We tried talking about video games. We've tried to do the farts and wiener jokes, but you guys always bring the voicemails back to this.
Yeah. Well, I know you're hoping to talk about other things. Again, like things that affect men and women and family relationships, prostate exams. We're gonna dive deep up into that.
Strong relationships. I tell you one that's really big for our guys, and they don't hear enough people talking about it. Trying to start over and get in a relationship after you've been through one of these. You're a divorced dad trying to start back over. You've got all these walls built up, and that can be very difficult. And if you don't heal from what cut you, you will bleed on the ones that didn't cut you or that didn't hurt you. And that's just the way it is. And then you got all these walls built up, and you might meet the person that could be the person of your dreams, but you're not allowing them in because of what happened to you in the past. And I believe, strong relationships definitely needs to be talked about. I mean, you got to think about this, guys. You meet somebody, you fall in love, you're going on dates, you're going to the restaurants, you're going to the movies, theme parks, and it's just about you two. And you love each other so much. And then you're going to get married. Then we get married. Now we've got new bills because we've got a house together. We've got the car. And then we have a child. Now I'm having to work a little bit more because we got responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Now the baby's crapping. You're having to wake up in the middle of the night. You're having to give him the diaper. You're having to burp him. And it's no longer all that time going into you guys. Maybe you don't even get to talk because you're so busy at home doing the clothes or whatever. Woman goes into work the next day, and one of her coworkers looks at her. Hey, you looking good today.
Looking foxy.
That's how a lot of this starts, man.
Yeah.
That's how a lot of this starts. I mean, you got to put in the work. You can't build a house with somebody that isn't carrying the bricks. And if you don't keep your relationship as a focal point, people will say, there's nothing out there more important than my kids. Well, I understand that one. But when you're trying to build a nuclear family, it starts at the top with mom and dad.
Yeah.
And if them two are putting in the work and they've got a loving relationship, it will trickle down the rest of the way.
Yeah, level of umbrellas.
It is.
How it goes down. Yeah, I mean, the relationship with your spouse is the most important one. Again, I've got 3 tries at the bat. Third time, I'm feeling good about this one. We've been together. We just celebrated a couple years. I think we're at 5 now. I shouldn't say the words I think. I'm gonna get in trouble for that one. But working hard to keep that relationship there, and we're each other's best friends. I mean, we laugh, we joke, we have that, and that's it's not. I hate to say it's not a job. But I know there's things. Again, I'm having to go to this suit and tie Christmas party for her job tonight. Let me tell you right now, the last thing I want to do is be away from my house and to dress up. But I'm doing that for her, and then she does things for me. She was at the vigil last night. She was orchestrating, getting locations and all that. I mean, we're a team.
You're saying you don't want to be doing these things?
Yeah, no. I'll be honest. I'm
very behind on my video games.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is yeah, you could be playing your video games. I could be in my VR headset doing my 3D printing and all my other nerd stuff that I do, making money. I got I have a side hustle. I do video editing work and all kinds of other fun stuff. Trying to, but I use that money to pump it back in to these organizations because I believe in them.
Well, I tell you what, man, when that Final Fantasy VII remake comes out, part 2, you guys are going to be getting some pre-recorded shows.
Be some replays, or maybe you put Dad Talk Today and then have you playing it.
Somebody said the whole time I thought this was Dwayne. No, this is D.E. Wayne. I don't know how we would do that if both of you guys got on. Dwayne Robert with Dwayne Robert.
Referencing me with Dwayne Roberts was like the highest honor ever. Now, Dwayne Robert may be hunting you down.
It's my buddy. He said he's got to go do something, or he would have loved
Dwayne's
to join
a
us.
great guy.
Maybe we need to make that happen someday soon. We did do a simulcast with Dad Surviving Divorce and Dad Talk not too long ago. And it's cool to have this community of support to talk about the frustrations and everything with. And even though he's not, getting involved in the legislation and stuff, he is helping these guys survive and realize some of the tricks that's going on in these relationships. So if you haven't checked that out on YouTube, Dad Surviving Divorce, DSD.
Yeah.
Great thing.
Great
Dude,
program, great resources.
I saw a candle. Let's get a dad joke in here. I saw a candle this morning that I got to get some of my friends for Christmas. It was called Bofa.
Bofa.
B-O-F-A.
Okay.
And up under it, Bofa, these nuts.
Both of these nuts. Okay. I'm going to do
these nuts. It's the new candle set. It's amazing.
I got one for you. It's gotten groans. I just got it. The joke, dad joke. But how do they? I got to make sure I set this up right. How do they how do they measure cat food?
How's that?
Per can.
I'm gonna show this to you guys. I am going to show it to you guys. I mean, this is just amazing right here. But I'm a little heartbroken over the price.
Uh-oh.
I mean, I guess you can't put a correct price tag on it, but there it is. Both of these nuts, banana nut bread, hazelnut and vanilla.
Ooh, scented
the Candle Daddy. Wow, they're actually called the Candle Daddy. I know a sponsor. Come on, both of these nuts. Why are you not sponsoring Dad Talk? You're the Candle Daddy.
Exactly. Wow. Is that delivery before? Can you get that delivered before Christmas? Because I think I see some stocking stuffers.
You're going to stock both of these nuts.
Both of these nuts right there.
In the Christmas stocking. I tell you what was funny, dude. I don't know why we're 5, 6, or 10 years behind on the D's Nuts jokes, but when we was traveling the country, it was what we kept, humorous about. It became the thing to get us throughout the day. Mark Escobar, Robert Garza. I mean, we was coming up with some doozies, dude. And I even asked him, I was like, man, y'all ever had any of those peanuts from Aldi's? And they was like, what? They was like, what about them? I was like, those are good, man. They was like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever had them. I was like, you've never had Aldi's nuts? And they was like, oh, yeah. But dude, I mean, it was just one of those things. And that was one of Corbin's favorite things too. The kid that just passed away. There was a couple of stories with that. Anyway, I forgot again where I was going with it. I got stuck on D's
nuts. When you get the D's nuts jokes going, you just kind of you just gotta do it. Mike's down there being Mr. Comedian.
All right, let's see. Let's get some of the jokes in here. Knock, knock. How do you know if the dad is at the door when mom shuffles the judge out the back door?
Yeah. Bringing it back there. Oh, man.
All right.
Gotta have more jokes like that. But yeah, I mean, with one of the commenters earlier, we need to, I think we're trying to kind of mix it up. I mean, again, this subject matter in general sucks. It's got to be talked about, but we got to break it up with some, other things.
Be the first one to tell you, man. Like, I will laugh my butt off at these nuts jokes.
Oh yeah. All right. So
I'm not too mature to not laugh at that. By no means. And anybody that can't, we are regular, everyday dads here right? And
Yeah.
I think sometimes we feel like we got to stay on this or we got to stay on this. And that's been one of the hardest things. You got to learn to still have fun. But we are going to get back to the subject matter. I got one more voicemail that we're going to play before we get out of here today. Keep them coming, guys. 762-441-0281.
Hello, my name is Mike, calling from San Joaquin County, California, up here in Stockton, California. I just wanted to share information about something that's even more creepy than just the broken system, but a little bit about the trolls that use the system to perpetrate against little children. Search in Google San Joaquin County Department of Child Support attorney.
None of these statements have been evaluated by DDT. We are not lawyers. We are not attorneys, but let's listen to the call.
Arrested for soliciting a minor. And you'll see that man was arrested because that solicitation was actually an undercover sheriff. It's interesting that happened back in 2018, 2019, and they gave him his job back. They put him back in with the children of the local counties for the child support system. He's working cases again. That's how corrupt the system is and how messed up our system is. So have fun with that search.
All right, man. I mean, dude, and we know like there's so much corruption that goes on in these systems, and I can talk about this one without getting in trouble. When we was in Texas the other day, I was, those guys are talking about shooting like a true crime show and about the Texas Rangers and stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I think it's called Confessions of a Killer on Netflix. It is about this man named Henry Lee Lucas. He murdered one of his parents when he was younger for various reasons. It seemed like he had a very tumultuous childhood. But he gets in jail and he befriends the sheriff down there. Well, there's all these murders that had went unsolved down there in Texas. And much to everybody's surprise, Henry Lee Lucas starts saying, I did it. I did it. And they'll take him out to the scene and say, tell us what you did. And he will say verbatim what they thought happened in those cases. Everybody's like, whoa, I want to say he admitted to the tune of like 15 to 1,600 murders.
Wow.
No kidding, dude.
Wow.
But he's in the prison. He's got people traveling from all over the country to cover his story. He's got a TV, he's got cigarettes, and he rides around with the sheriff everywhere. They were buddies. Then they start finding out a lot of these murders that this man had admitted to was not done by him because they started finding the real murders and because they would strike again. This sheriff had fed all this information to this guy because he was getting all this credit of being this amazing sheriff that was solving these murders that nobody else could. The corruption, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. There was another one. I don't know if you had seen this. This goes into big pharma. But like when somebody would get arrested for drugs, sometimes it might be flour. It's not cocaine, or it might be salt or what have you. Oregano instead of marijuana.
Right, yeah.
The lady that was supposed to be like testing all these drugs, dude, she was taking them. She became a drug addict. So she would say either they weren't what they said they were or that they were. And she just got curious one day and started trying some of the meth. And then from that moment on, she did this for years and years and years and years and years. And they had to go back to all these cases where she was that witness and undo them.
Wow.
Dude,
Yeah.
there's so much that goes on inside of our system. I mean, you will never be able to get to it all.
Yeah. The corruption, how deep it is, and who's watching the watchers, and I mean, just all the stuff. And that's what we need to have open courts. We need to have open books. We need to have open everything so that the public can see what's really going on. If people realize just how much they've been duped. I mean, everyone, I don't know, they all want to live in that, blue pill society where everything's perfect and neat and ordered and everyone's there to help you out. And no, the realities are there's so much corruption. There's so much, money. And then, it's funny. We, our elected officials, the job itself pays, $10,000 a year for a mayor job, let's say. And then you look over 2 or 3 years, they're worth $1 million.
Dude, look at the money that they're spending to get those positions that pay $10,000 a year. I mean, like I said, that Senate race that I actually helped in that campaign. That guy had been in him for 28 years. Now it'd be 32 years. Paid
Mm.
almost $1 million to keep a position that only pays 10 grand a year.
Yeah, why
Most people
would
say, why would you do that? Well, he's a senator and he is an attorney and he gets to
Mhm.
pick the judges that he does his cases in front of. I'll let you connect the dots.
Well, to tie it all in, I mean, yeah, these positions in the government, they don't pay anything, but we've got our family law attorneys that are sitting on boards that decide HB 803, one that you're somewhat familiar with down here in Texas, as an example. It's all over the country, but let's just use that specific one. And then the family law folks, kill a bill that would hurt their practice. But they're doing it for $10,000 a year. No, this is all orchestrated. This is all set up.
Man. Plants. That's what I say, guys. I mean,
But we had a local one, David Lowe. He was running for one of our local things here, and he ran up against Click, and she got, I think, $1 million in donations for her media campaign, and made all kinds of outlandish stuff. But he actually almost won. He was the small guy. He was on, Pennies. Yeah, great guy. On Pennies. They actually, one of their media campaigns was that he was supporting child trafficking. And when you piece it all back to what was actually happening back in the 90s, when the domain craze was going crazy, he bought like 10,000 domains just blindly to try to sell them to be the next Ford.com. For the youngins here, back before all these websites are out there, Ford.com and all that, you had to get that domain, and people were speculating and buying Ford.com, Dodge.com, and all that, because then Ford would call you and say, hey, can I buy that from you? Because you can only have one, like Dad talked.
dude, I've been through it trying to get my websites.
Yeah, you got to do this and do that. So he bought a block of them, I think it was 10,000 anyway, and to try to sell them. Well, you don't get to pick them really, but he got them, and one of them had a kind of a offside whatever. They had someone track back through there and say, look, he's trying to traffic in pornography, which is crazy. But Stephanie Click, she's worth, I think, something like $400,000. But they spent $1 million to get her in over this guy.
Wow.
Because but once she's in, well, she's been in for a while, but he almost won. If we could have and he did his campaign on Pennies. Against Goliath. And that's to relate it back to this. I know I'm going somewhere with this, but if people were to give the pennies, we can end this. It can be ended.
The reflection in the person that people need to be looking after. And I don't want to get in touch with this guy, Edward Durr. I want to say it was New Jersey. Beat an incumbent that had tons of money behind their campaign. They were the incumbent. It's really hard to knock out an incumbent, guys.
Oh yeah.
This guy beat this machine with I think it was $200 in campaign donations. Wow. And he was a truck driver. He was a regular, everyday guy, got out there and he connected with the people. And it wasn't the money. It wasn't the other politicians that got him in there. It was him, again, connecting with the people, talking about the issues that they are going through. And I say the same thing can be done for this movement. If he can do that with $200, we can do it. Yeah. So that's what I said. They've got billions, but it isn't going to take billions to come back at it. We just need our people to organize and to come together.
Organize, step up, contribute a little bit to keep the lights on.
Yep.
Keep the candle burning.
We got some strategizing and some other things that we got to do. So that means we're probably going to end the show. Can I tell them about one more documentary before we get out of here?
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I am a documentary freak. Have you seen the guy that was scamming the people? Have you ever played Monopoly at McDonald's?
Oh, yeah.
Monopoly, but you know that whole thing was rigged.
I did not know that.
You've never seen that movie? Oh, McMillions.
McMillions, okay.
There was a guy that was trusted to take the winning game pieces to where the factories where it would be put on the box so that they could track how many of those $1 million game pieces that they were going to have. That guy had every single one of them all the years that they did McMillions. There was never a legit winner. He would go to him and say, hey, if you pay me $50,000, I'll give you the winning game piece. And he did that all them years. And it was one of those things that they had to get the FBI involved in. It was a very big operation, dude,
Yeah.
because he had set it up so good.
Wow.
He's out of jail now. I mean, like, they never found most of the money. So you go figure.
Right.
But that's a good one.
Wow.
I don't know if you knew that. How many of you guys thought you was going to get Boardwalk or Park Place? There was like one piece, I forget which one it was, that you can never get.
Yeah.
Right?
That was it.
He had it. He had it every single time. You played that dang game for nothing.
I'm suing McDonald's because I'm fat because of it. I would have never ate all those cheeseburgers.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't done it. Well, look, I mean, somebody won lawsuits for a cup of hot coffee.
Hot coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah, they had that one. They had the was the Marlboro one, or it's Pepsi, the Pepsi Jet.
Oh yeah,
that
I
just
just
came
watched
out.
that one on the way to Dallas, dude.
Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah, that was one. They've had all these ones where the game shows how they've been rigged.
Let me ask you a question though. Had you been that man and you wanted that jet and you had won that jet that Pepsi had promised, and they came and offered you that $1 million or $750,000 that like they offered that man, what would you have done?
Well, I can't fly and I'm scared of heights, so I'd probably take the money. to be
I think
honest.
most people would.
Yeah.
But the fact that that guy was like, no, I want my jet,
I want my jet.
and walked out. And I was like, that's the kind of people we need here, dude.
Yeah. They'll
Because
stand
people
on
see that
principle.
sense of security, right? That sense of security, and makes them feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But he's like, hell no, I know what I'm fighting
jet.
for. And let's
Yeah.
be honest, he should have won that jet. There was
Should've.
no disclaimer down there that said this ain't real.
Yeah,
They said
we're
7
joking.
million points, Pepsi points, and you get to win that jet. I was one of the guys that did the Pepsi points. Did you do it?
Through my Mountain Dew, not sponsored by Mountain Dew, but through the Mountain Dew part of it. Well, not the zero back then, but yeah. Oh yeah, I did all that. I did the Marlboro points when I used to smoke. We got. There we go. We need to get some
It's
sponsors.
so crazy because when I buy these at Publix, that's
Mhm.
the grocery store we have over
Yep.
here. I don't have Kroger. We do, but they're on the other side.
Yeah.
Anyway, I buy these Topo Chicos, and they're very hard to get. So I have to get as many as I can when they come in.
Yeah,
People
I
be like, I'm going home with you tonight. I'm like, why is that? And they was like, man, it looks like you having fun. I was like, oh, you want some water? They was
They're
like,
oh,
no, that's beer. I'm like, nah.
no.
That's what,
no.
and it's the reason I don't drink it on the show, because people are,
Oh, they'll
you know how
assume.
these people with their smear campaigns are.
Oh,
They're-
yeah.
But dude, I love my Topo Chicos.
We should have a
Anybody
thing.
needs some caps. You want to make some crafts with your kids, you can have all these right here for $19.99.
An idea. I was looking at ways to do some fundraising. One way is to have like a jar of jelly beans or Topo Chicos or whatever those are, and like have people
I got
like
an overflow cup.
there you go. Do like $1 a vote, and then whoever wins, they get half the pot or something like that. But yeah, there's again thought some ideas for fundraising that would be fun and engage the community. Poker nights or burger battles and all kinds of. There's a lot of stuff. There's people out there that know of some interesting fundraising opportunities that would like to get involved with that. Please reach out, because that's that may be some good opportunities there that may be fun and then be for a good cause.
Wow. Thank you guys for those stars, man. I
Oh,
really appreciate that. We're getting, I
Good.
can't see the comment. And I
Oh.
think when I can't see your comment, that's because
Look at
you
Julie.
put some stars on here.
Julie's
Dude,
on fire.
her and Deborah have just been piling in here, and there were
Yeah.
several other people. So I don't want to offend you if I don't say your name, but thank you for those coming in. That definitely helps. But yeah, dude, have you ever drank a Topo Chico?
I have not. I'm one of those guys that I get every time I go to the restaurant. I eat the exact same thing. When Joe's Pizza, I actually did detracted from my normal thing, and I got pizza because I got a sensitive tummy, and that fettuccine Alfredo talks to me. Didn't want to be
does
out in
it?
Arlington
What's it say?
and have a moment. Do what?
What's it say?
What does what say? My
Alfredo.
tummy. Yeah. I can't make those.
Probably talks a bunch of shit, don't it?
It talks a lot of shit for hours. Yeah, it's an event. I got digestive issues and the family jokes about it. But yeah, it's I eat the same thing no matter where I go because I'm never disappointed. If I go to a Mexican restaurant, 3 soft tacos.
So Dwayne
It's
just
not.
outed himself. If we're ever at a rally and you smell something, it was probably him.
Oh, it definitely was me. I'll be the first one to say that. It will be me. I'm that guy.
All right, guys. Well, I've had fun. Oh, Mr. Way Up. We had some people interested in it. Michael said he thinks it was Boardwalk or Park Place. I think so too. He had the winning game piece, that bastard. But Mr. Way Up said, what's the market value of the jet compared to the offer? So the jet
Millions.
was like $32 million because it was a Harrier jet. Okay. I got to give the whole story because anybody that's tuning in that doesn't know it, we're not making any sense. Back in the 90s on Pepsis and 20 ounces and everything, they had those bottles that were shaped like road cones. And on the side of it, they would have a label right here that said Pepsi points. And you get like 2 Pepsi points for a 2 liter. And then you get 1 Pepsi point for a 20 ounce. They even had them on the cans, on like the boxes of the 12 packs and everything. And they was running this contest and they had this big commercial. This was in the middle of the Cola Wars and Pepsi was kind of on the back end of it. That's why, dude, my crush as a kid, you guys can tell me who yours was. She's still hot. Cindy Crawford.
Cindy.
Oh, dude, who doesn't remember? You know, that was back when the ladies wore their pants up above their belly button. A lot of them still do, but she's out there drinking that Pepsi. I wanted to be that Pepsi so bad. I did. But then see, I'll go off. But the Pepsi points, they was running these commercials and you had all these different things that you can get. One time, I think I got like a CD book. Like, who the hell would need that now?
For the youngins.
Pepsi's logo on it. I got a little soccer ball, but you could get jackets and all kinds of stuff. Just Marlboro did the same thing. They used to, if you smoked the cigarettes, you had the Marlboro miles, 5 miles that you could take off. I had a sleeping bag. I had jackets and all kinds of stuff from Marlboro. It's like, we get you to buy all of our products and then you get to wear our advertising. Smart.
I know.
It was smart. But on that Pepsi commercial, they show you all these cool things you can get. And at the very end comes in this Harrier jet, this big like army jet. And it's showing this guy or boy going to school in that jet instead of a bicycle. Like, look how cool I am. And it's like, you can get this now for 7 million Pepsi points. Well, they put 7 million on there because they didn't think anybody would ever do it. They show you at the end. They originally was going to say 700 million, but they thought that number was too big. They wanted people to think they had a chance.
Right.
So we made it smaller, but still didn't expect anybody to do it. Well, there was a little clause there. They never put a disclaimer down there saying that that was fake, for one.
Right.
But also for people that really wanted to claim those Pepsi points, if they didn't have enough, you could buy a Pepsi point, I think, for like 10 cents. Ooh. So this guy goes and does the math. For $32 million, if I go and do all these Pepsi points, I think it was going to cost like $750,000.
Right.
With the Pepsi points that I got. So he went and sent a check into Pepsi, thinking he was going to get the Harrier jet. And then one normal work day, they think nobody's ever going to get this. They open up something and it says, we want the jet. And then the whole company went frantic.
Mm-hmm.
So
they had it. Yeah.
I mean, $700,000, you could get a $32 million jet. So they offered him $750,000 to walk away. And he said, hell no, I want the jet. He should have won that case hands down. But if you want to know how corrupt the courts are, watch that case.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. How does that go back to dad talk? Watch that case. That man had every right to get that jet. But they didn't make good. I guess if you got enough money and you got enough connections, you can do anything you want to in this country.
I wonder if we would have had honest legislators and people that cared. Like, what if 1 million parents or 1 million Pepsi drinkers stood up when they said, no, we're not going to do this? What would have happened?
Well, supposedly, I forget what country it was. They had ran another contest where, like, they accidentally sent out a ton of winning game pieces on the glass bottles. And that was one of the third world countries.
Yeah.
And all these guys got this winning piece and was supposed to get that money. And when they took it, they just tried to say, oh, sorry, guys, we had a mistake. We're going to give you some free Pepsi. And they was like, hell no. And they started rioting, man. Molotov cocktails out of Pepsi glass bottles and stuff.
Irony.
Oh, yeah. So that got brought up during that, too. So there were several times they had offered something that they didn't do. And then, that's what happened. So anyway, you got lots of stuff to check up on today.
Yeah, I was going to say, and those comments that were just made were not the Dad Talk Today comments. That should no way You were talking about Molotov cocktails and
No, I know. I'm not, dude. No.
This
Like,
is
I am
all-
not telling you
not
to do
us.
that. Drink Pepsi.
Peaceful
it's the
only.
choice of the next generation.
Yes.
We're just telling you what the documentary says.
Right,
We don't condone violence in any way.
Well, I was
Form,
tying in,
or you know what? Let's just read Tom. I shipped my pants.
I shipped my pants.
How
Another
many
great
people went and
commercial.
watched that commercial after watching Dad talk?
There was
the
a
other
bunch
day?
of them. There was a bunch of videos afterwards. That was hilarious. That was
I
some
can't
good
wait to
stuff.
ship my pants, Dad. Little Billy. It was between
I
Little
shipped
Billy.
the bed.
Yeah, it was between Little Billy and Granddad. I shipped my bed. Which one? I don't know. The way Billy just snuck on in
No.
there and came out from under. I don't know. He might have. All right. These guys don't know what we're talking about. All right. We love you. We're going to be coming back a little bit later on. Go watch all these things for what we was just talking about. I shipped my pants. It was a Kmart commercial that should have taken Kmart out of bankruptcy, but it didn't, unfortunately. Keep
And
the
we
voicemails coming in. 762-441-0281 tonight's show. There is no comedy on that.
No,
We won't be talking about shipping pants.
but
We
very
won't be talking about
important.
Pepsi, McMillions, or Henry Lee Lucas, or any of that. It is a very, it was a hard show, to be honest with you,
Yeah,
because I think there's going to be many of you, if you're alienated parents or you've been through
needs
this,
to be told.
you're going to feel like you're hearing from your kid.
Yeah, this is one, especially for the alienated parents. Everyone needs to watch it. Be going to like, share, subscribe. Be sure to share that episode. We should be sharing them all, but share that one specific, because it may get to a parent that, especially during the holidays, they just don't. They're looking for hope. They're looking for something, and maybe that video will give them some hope, some much needed hope.
Absolutely. Like, share, subscribe. We will be back tomorrow morning. We'll be back at 8 tonight, but we'll be back tomorrow morning as well. And
We're gonna give them homework, or have we already given them homework? They got to watch
I've given them tons of documentaries to watch.
Yeah.
I even gave you the best video game of all time, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, made in 1996 by Konami. What do you want to know? I'm telling you. You don't think you just beat the game. You got to do the secrets. You got to have the glasses. It turns the castle upside down. For anybody that has not played that game, the graphics ain't going to be what it used to be. That's what sucks, dude. Back in the day, we thought those games were the best things out there. And you go back and look at some of them.
Real
now,
life.
it's like,
I mean,
I was a dot. I was an 8-bit dot.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But they still got the great music, dude. Like, how can you not get excited and your blood flowing when you listen to the original Zelda?
Yeah.
Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Yeah,
I remember being a kid running around in my tidy whities and pizza.
Well, who
Oh, yeah.
stayed up for like a day straight playing Super Mario Brothers 3? You had played all the way through.
I think the most anticipation for a game that I remember when I was a kid had to be Zelda on 64.
Yeah.
And I'm not a huge Zelda guy.
Yeah.
Like, I like it, and I used to like to watch people watch it. But when the Ocarina of Time came out on 64, that was the most hype we had ever seen behind a video game.
I had to buy my oldest son an Ocarina.
Did you?
It triggered a memory. He was nuts for that game. I think it was on the DS, that version of it. When you mentioned Ocarina, I'm like, man, I had to.
Nintendo 64.
It was, well, yeah, but on the DS, I mean, they had another version, the Ocarina of Time, for probably something else. But when you said Ocarina, it just kind of clued in. There's actually ocarinas, and you can play them. Not well, apparently, but you can play them.
But just to show you how much different this generation is, one of my favorite games back then was Duke Nukem. You ever played Duke?
Oh, Duke Nukem. I love
They
Duke
tried to
Nukem.
re-release, like, do a new
Nah.
version of it several years ago, and this generation I was just like, no.
The magic is
But back in the
gone.
day, you come in there with your bazooka or whatever, hell to the king, baby. That shit was badass.
Well, see, back in I've been playing games my entire life, but Quake was a great game, but Doom 2, you could do those WADs, and you could put audio files into it. So every time you reloaded your shotgun, it's a chopper, baby. From Bruce Willis in I can't remember the name of the movie, but oh yeah, they were called .wad WAD files, and you could actually import those in. Of course, you had cheat codes and all that stuff, but you could do
He's getting
the
into
sound
emulation
effects.
and all that stuff now.
Had the one where it chopped Barney's head off. You had the one that had a pair of bobs on the wall.
You
walk in
already
there.
said it.
Got to pull the bobs in. Oh yeah,
You
all
already
that
said it.
stuff. Oh yeah.
Dude, So many. There was a game that I can't believe it never took off. Did you ever play Redneck Rampage?
Oh yeah. Oh
Dude,
hell yeah.
that was one of those
I
games
have
that took
it.
us forever to download as a kid. Like, look, everybody did it. Don't say nothing. But it was one of those games that took forever to get it. But when we played it was like, holy crap. I thought that was going to be the next big thing and it never took off. But you remember Redneck Rampage.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, it was on the Doom or the whatever engine it was on. But yeah, Redneck
Yeah.
Rampage. I think I have it in my because with Steam you can get a lot of the older video games, and of course you can sail the high seas as well. Because I've owned every game at some point legally, so it's one of those I can't find.
Yeah,
a
me
disc
too.
or whatever.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean I've rebought them. I get tired of doing
Me
that,
too
but
game movement.
yeah, but yeah, I mean Redneck Rampage, D on the PlayStation 1.
I remember that
Yep.
one.
I played that on my arcade
Oh,
a
that
couple
was
weeks ago.
freaky, dude.
It
Wasn't
freaked me
that
out.
one of those like they opened up one of those cases and one of the guys was in like the spikes and stuff?
Came through his head. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I
The
remember D.
music, the tension, and all
Or
that.
Resident Evil. Could you remember first time playing that? I tried to watch it not too long ago and I was like, how in the world did we ever get that feeling off of this game? The
Yeah,
controls are backwards and everything, and you're these little polygons, but it was evil.
yeah. Well,
It was
Resident
evil,
Evil
man.
is on VR now, and let me tell you, it is awesome.
I gotta check that out.
It is.
Raccoon
Yeah,
City.
yeah.
All right, guys. If you haven't seen Robot Chicken,
Robot Chicken. Oh my, yeah. That's
we had to
all
bring up
other-
something else. We're getting out of here. Show up to tonight's show. We're gonna have to do a gaming segment.
We
We're
got
just
to.
gonna have to. I
Well-
see one coming on. Would you guys be okay with that?
Yeah,
I think
do
they
some-
would. Punch
come
out.
in.
Punch out's gotta come
Punch
in.
out. Yeah,
Mike Tyson.
we can
That
do
was
it.
it.
We have the technology.
007-373-5469. If you have never fought Mike Tyson, get in there. Tell me how it goes. Regular Nintendo. Until then, we will see you later on tonight. Thank you for showing up. All right, guys.
Never say